Hello. How's it going? How's everybody cooking? What's going on? Okay. That's YouTube chat. I'm gonna move you over here, gang. Oh, gotta pause myself so you don't hear me in the background. Alright. We'll start with Mute's post. I think that's a decent spot to start with some analysis. Sorry the stream is a little later than I had anticipated. So I slept okay, right? So I slept okay. And then I came home. Oh yeah, I gotta send Twitch side. Right. Thank you, Bulver. I appreciate it. Don't forget to go to Twitch side, gang. Don't forget to go to Twitch side. Let's see how we're doing on Twitch side. Damn, we're still at 2. We're still at 2 streams. Yeah, I think unless we have like 4 people on that side, it doesn't count it. I think unless we have 4 people on Twitch side, it just doesn't count it. And like, I mean consistently. Not like for a few minutes or an hour. Like, I mean just, you know, a consistent like 4 viewer basis, or at least like 3. Like if you go to Twitch and it says 3, it doesn't mean 3. It means there's 2 people there. Okay? That's why I'm saying we need 4. Right? Does that make sense? So yeah, it seems like last stream just didn't count. Hopefully we get some people on this end. Anywho, so I slept at like 8 o'clock, which is a really good time for me to sleep, but I kept waking up. In particular, I woke up like around 3 in the morning, which kind of sucked. But then I kind of went back to sleep / didn't go to sleep. I went to work. I was fine. I was actually doing better than usual. You know, good sleep is OP. Good sleep is OP. But then I kind of like, with the moment I got home, I like crashed. I don't know what happened. I got home and then just burn out. So I slept for like an hour, and then I woke up, I did some stuff, and then I took a shower, I ate, and then got my drink, and now I'm here. Hey, work in progress. I think we're doing pretty good, all things considered. Anywho, we're going to start with Mute. We're going to start with Mute. Mute has to say, and we're going to go from there. The music isn't like too loud or obtrusive, is it? Like for me, it's like pretty decently loud, but I don't want it to be too loud or obtrusive for you guys, right? I just got to make sure. Like you can hear the music, but it's not like annoying, right? Because I don't know what it sounds like. It's good. Anybody? No comments? Okay. Remind you to read the stuff I send you in the DMs. Okay. Nice and mellow, not loud. Perfect. Okay. I'll read your stuff maybe after Mute. I read Mute's post. There are inconsistencies regarding various panels of the cars driving on. Yeah, that's pretty common. I think Mute noticed this, like, even when we first started, right? It's literally a different car, right? There are instances where it's like it's a different car or something, or weird stuff like that. I remember something like that happening in the past, so I'm not too particularly surprised. However, you also have to consider that maybe Mute himself isn't necessarily correct, like, because he's made mistakes before too. Like, he didn't realize there was highway training in the car. Did Jojo write anything? I don't know. I have no clue. We haven't even read Jojo's earlier analysis from the previous chapter. I've been like pretty behind on my analysis. Okay. So let's start with Mute. Okay, this is a review and commentary with satisfaction rating of 432. The theme this time is Mommy's emotional fluctuations and Kazuya's composure. Kazuya is being tossed around by Mommy, but his feelings for Chizuru seem unwavering. Seems to play a big role here. Okay. I'll give Mute some slack. Poor dude's been in the hospital. This isn't so much about like hospital stuff. This is just normal. It's like, I'm not saying the dude Omega fucked up. What about Jaws? Did he write anything? All I saw was he said perfection. All I saw was he said it's perfect perfection. That's it. That's all I saw from the one Discord server that we share. If he said something in a different Discord server or like the main Discord server, cool, whatever. I've said before, I tend to not go to the main Discord server. It's just exhausting and it's not interesting for conversation. It's interesting to sometimes loiter. So like I'll just like sit in the background, or I'll like what's the term where it's like a viewer just sits there but he doesn't actually interact. He just kind of watches it play out. Sometimes I do that, but I don't do it very often because it gets exhausting with all the bitching. At least when I used to go there, there was a lot of bitching. I don't know if there's still a lot of bitching. So that's my reasoning for not going to the main Discord server. Sometimes I also want to engage, but I know it'll be a waste of my time, so I don't. Anyways, lurking. Thank you. That's what it was. Lurking. Okay. Page 1 through 3. The shift indicator next to the speedometer shows P parking. Oh. Oh. I see it. Oh. This is a drawing error. Yeah, because Reiji probably took the picture when it was parked. Remember, these are pictures Reiji actually took. So this is probably something Reiji took without like thinking about it. Or remember, Reiji doesn't always draw this stuff, right? This is kind of important. Reiji doesn't always draw this stuff. Reiji's pretty meticulous, but he said in interviews that he doesn't always draw the backgrounds or the like little things like that. He just kind of gives directions on what he wants to be depicted there, and he double checks it. But that's kind of it. He doesn't like get into every nook and cranny. So this mistake is probably from the editors, or not the editors, the secondary artists, or his what's the term? Supporting artists? Maybe that's the term. Supporting artists, right? Maybe that's like that. That feels more like an indicator of that. There's also some inconsistencies in the depiction of the training car, Mazda 3 sedan, hatchback, 30 series Pyrus. Once again, but this may not matter to the readers who are not interested in cars, right? Like if you don't know shit about, thank you, assistants, thank you. Yeah, so this one looks like a Nissan, or that's a sedan. That's a sedan. And then a hatchback to a 30 Prius. That is different. Wait, this car is different from the wait, Reishi, please. Reishi, please, wait. Now that I look, they are completely different. Wait. It's like when I did the double take. I'm like, wait, they're all completely different. I can't unsee it now. It's like just ingrained in my mind. I can't unsee it now. They are totally different cars now. That's hilarious. Okay. Okay. Page 45. This is a Miyoshi PA. So it's on the Kinatsu Expressway. It's 13.9 kilometers from Nirma IC. If you drive 100 kilometers an hour, you'll get there in 8 minutes. They're taking breaks surprisingly early. It may take a while to get to Nirma IC. The soft serve ice cream is melting, probably because some time has passed since Kazuya bought it while worrying about mommy. Okay. Someone commented here. If it's around Nirma, I'd say Rainbow or Miyakami. The local roads get congested up to Nirma interchange, so you take a break as soon as you get to the highway, right? Well, getting from Kuchimajoda is quite a challenge. On an actual date, you'll have to drive on a congested local roads and the Metropolitan Expressway, so it seems likely it would be quite a challenge for beginners. I know because I used to live near that area. Okay. Okay. Interesting stuff. Kazuya doesn't understand why Mami is trying to get closer to him. Due to his low self-esteem, he doesn't even consider the possibility that Mami might like him. It's real. So okay, there's some interesting stuff going on in this chapter. I intentionally made the thumbnail. I don't know if you guys looked at the thumbnail for this video. I intentionally made the thumbnail this comparison between Mami and Chizuru. Why? It's because Mami's actions are informed by Chizuru. You can understand Mami better by understanding what Chizuru was doing. In that same way, if you can understand Chizuru better by looking at Mami in that date alone. Right? In that date alone, there's an inherent comparison and a contrast between Mami and Chizuru, and there's a lot of layers to this. For instance, the Odaiba date, where this is directly referencing, by the way, right? The Odaiba date that this is directly referencing. Right, this. Okay, this entire date, I've talked about it in the past, is a direct callback to Mami. In particular, Mami and Kazuya's first date. What do I mean? Well, okay, let's go over Mami and Kazuya's first date. It's at a park. Okay, I think I wrote it down somewhere. I'm not gonna remember it like all off the top of my head. So. Shit. Did I spell Odaiba wrong? Nope. Let's see. Where is it? Let's see. Okay. There we go. This pretty much highlights my point, I think. Okay, so remember when Kazuya got a call from Mami in the middle of his date with Chizuru, right? This is a reference to the beach arc, right? It's a reference to the beach arc, which is where we first see Kazuya and Mami's first date. Okay? So this is a direct callback to that. And what does Kazuya do in both times? He puts the phone away, right? He either puts the phone away or he ignores it. Okay. The entire date, right, is built around like similar ideas. Both dates take place in a bark. Both relationships last a month, right? Kazuya lived with Chizuru on a month, right? For just 1 month. With Mami, his relationship with her lasted a month. Okay. At the end of the date, Kazuya and Mami kiss. After the end of the date, Chizuru kisses Kazuya. They talk about their feelings during the date. Whereas Mami holds Kazuya's hand and says, we're both newbies in this. Chizuru doesn't hold Kazuya's hand because Kazuya is the one who should be telling him, or telling Chizuru that they're both newbies at this and it's okay. In chapter 11, we see Kazuya ask Mami out and their date where they kissed. They go to an amusement park, talk about their feelings. Then at the end of the date, they kiss. Does that sound familiar? The date takes place in an amusement park. The characters are talking about their feelings and hope to have a final talk in the end of the date where they share everything. And then in the end, they go to a popular kissing spot, right? The kiss is like a big thing that's advertised to you. At the beach arc, Kazuya answered his phone, but in doing so turned away from Chizuru and she fell in the water. He let go of his phone and he ran to save her from drowning. Right now, you could see Kazuya and Chizuru are underwater, and didn't Chizuru save Kazuya afterwards, right? Right. The reason I said they're underwater is because it was raining. There's a lot of like connections that I need a minute to like go over and think about. I talked about a lot about this in the past, so yeah. those two dates are like interconnected. So when I say Mommy's actions right now are informed by Chizuru, this is really ironic because Chizuru's actions are inherently connected to Mommy at the time in the beginning of that time, and how in creating a contrast between how Mommy was acting on their first date and how Chizuru was acting on their first date, you come to realize how Chizuru was not leading Kazuya on, whereas Mommy absolutely was. Because Kazuya really started to catch feelings for Mommy. She came off like she was really serious. Then you look at Chizuru, and she's trying really hard not to lead him on, right? And it makes Chizuru seem more serious, so when you get the conclusion of the rejection, it doesn't make sense. Mommy now, what she's doing is literally the opposite, right? It can even look like she's leading him on. But she's pretty serious. So you're just getting these completely mixed signals, and it's on purpose, right? You can understand Chizuru better by looking at Mommy, and you can understand Mommy better by looking at Chizuru. Anyways, we ranted a bit too long. Let's get back to mute. Okay. Every time there's a scene depicting... oh, sorry. I think I might have skipped. Kazuya doesn't understand why Mommy's trying to get closer to him due to his low self-esteem. He doesn't consider the possibility that Mommy might like him. In his mind, Mommy is already his ex-girlfriend, and their relationship is over. Every time there's a scene depicting Kazuya being oblivious to Mommy's feelings, it only emphasizes how much Mommy cares for Kazuya. Is it cares about him or thinks about him? Mommy's solo trip to Taiwan is a contrast to the heaviness of Ruka's story. By deliberately including lighthearted scenes of her leisurely sightseeing and eating steamed buns, the heaviness of Ruka's story is emphasized. Her solo trip also sends the message that she is not interacting with anyone, meaning she is outside the romantic race with Kazuya. However, this also serves as a preview that once Kazuya and Ruka's relationship is resolved, there will be a storyline centered around Mommy. I don't know about that. I think there's already a storyline centered on Mommy. And Ruka is not even in the picture. I think it's quite the opposite. Not that once Ruka and Kazuya are resolved, there's going to be a thing centered on Mommy. Rather, Ruka is not even in the picture. Kazuya is even closer to Mommy than he is to Ruka, in a sense. Despite them never engaging in any physical acts. Right? Ruka literally is in third place. If you think about it, right? What was Ruka's insecurity when she first met Mommy? Oh, I'm in third place. I'm not even in second. And now it's becoming even more true. Johan, do you think Chizuru is the final girl for Kazuya? What does that mean? Like the girl he's gonna end up with or something? Because there was never a final or first girl. There was always the person you want to be with, and this story has always been Kazuya and Chizuru's relationship. So, yeah. I mean, I think even if things go wrong in their relationship, they'll eventually, like, come back together and know they want to be with the other person. If that's what you mean. Rather than Chizuru being the final girl for Kazuya, maybe you could say she's the only girl for Kazuya. Okay. Anyways, how many people do we got on Twitch side? Damn, we don't have anything? No one's on Twitch side. Oh, well. Oh, well. What's playing in the background? This sounds really intense. Oh, this is from Final Fantasy XI. Yeah, this is from Final Fantasy XI. Okay. Mommy must secretly be happy that Kazuya noticed the dress she chose for him, but she deliberately acts indifferent. This is because Mommy doesn't want her feelings to be noticed. But then why did she ask Kazuya, is it cute? It was a way of checking how much Kazuya was paying attention to Mommy. She wanted to know what Kazuya thought of her, since that only since they only ever had superficial conversations. But this only confused him. Kazuya felt guilty because he thought he had caused Mami trouble at Hawaiians, and he didn't consider the possibility that Mami liked him at all. See, that's really, really funny, because it plays directly into Kazuya's relationship with Chizuru, right? Kazuya's relationship with Chizuru up to Hawaiians was him worrying he's causing Chizuru trouble, right? Even when he's living with Chizuru, he's worrying he's causing Chizuru trouble, right? Whereas he wasn't causing Chizuru trouble. Even now, you can kind of see it. However, there's an irony here. Mami did cause Kazuya a whole lot of trouble. In fact, what is she doing in this chapter? Right? In the early part of the chapter, she was stressing him the fuck out just because she was there. Mami just being there is stressing Kazuya out. Why is this important? It's literally Chizuru's issue. She's afraid she's stressing Kazuya out just by being near him. Why do you think she puts up the curtain? Why do you think she gives him his own space? Why do you think she keeps a distance? She's afraid she's stressing him out just by being near him. Mami does this and seemingly doesn't mind as long as she's with him. Mami is, in that sense, very inconsiderate of Kazuya, right? We're so busy looking at how Mami may like him, we don't consider how Mami is, in fact, stressing him out and not being clear about her feelings for him, right? So that's kind of an important thing to talk about here. It's like, so much of the thing is being placed on Kazuya being oblivious, rather than how Mami is causing him problems, right? Mami is quite literally like a burden to him, right? Whereas Kazuya is like a support for Mami. Does that seem fair? That seems to be a consistent repeating thing, where Kazuya is support for people, he's a pillar for people, and yet everyone around him stresses him out. This is important for Chizuru's character, who wants to be there to support him, not realizing that's not quite how it's going, right? And Mami, again, informs that situation really well. I had more to say, but I lost my train of thought. Kazuya's heart was shaken by Mami, but when he thought of Chizuru, his unwavering feelings returned to normal, and he looked relieved. It seemed he had realized that he was in love with Chizuru, and that he'd no longer be confused. Like I said, the second threshold, like, very much gave Kazuya like the thing he was trying to find this whole time. Speaking of which, once we finish reading this, I'd like to finally get into where we are in the hero's journey, because we haven't checked in a hot minute where the fuck we are in the hero's journey. Okay, the reason Mami, who usually hides the contours of her face with her hair, is showing her ears, is that it increases the amount of information on her face, allowing her to show a perfect made-up face. Also showing her ears has the meaning of opening up her heart, revealing her hidden inner self. Since her ears are not visible in the next page, I think it represents what's going on inside Mami's heart. It's 7.3 kilometers from Miyoshi, PA to Kawaga, IC. Okay, so it takes about 5 minutes. The distance covering during the highway driving lessons was 21.2 kilometers. The picture of the training car shows a 30 series Prius, but in reality, it's not used as a training car because it's wide. The poor visibility, the regenerative braking behaves unnaturally, and the shift lever is prone to misoperation. Ruka, wait, what does this have to do with Mami? I thought he was going to explain Mami. Oh well. Ruka, who had been cheerfully interacting with her mother, suddenly becomes sulky the moment she sees Umi in a TV commercial. It's in a stark contrast to the sweet chocolate advertisement, meaning Umi is a bitter memory for Ruka. What will Ruka do now that she's been brought back to reality after trying to forget? Next episode is Cooperation. I think this title is misleading, suggesting that Umi and Ruka will cooperate. Umi's motivations are different from Ruka's, as he is supporting Chizuru. It would be more natural for Umi to cooperate with Kazuya, but we'll see what happens. That's fine, it's good, whatever you do, don't choose Mami. Don't choose Mami, bro. Jaws, shut the fuck up. Jaws, shut the fuck up. Let me change the music a little bit. Hero's journey time. Give me a sec. Give me a sec. I want to double check the comments. Ruka says yes, yes, even at home, huh? I'd love to hear a conversation between Ruka and her mother. I wonder how her mother sees Ruka's behavior these days. Maybe her mother says something like, talk to me if anything happens. I'll help you in any way I can. But the next episode will probably be a completely different scene. Having gone through everything he's experienced so far, it's clear that Kazuya can't possibly believe that Mommy is interested in him. Mommy, too, knows that Kazuya only loves Chizuru. However, her pride drives her to try and create a situation where Kazuya will notice her. Is it pride or her desire controlling her? Is it pride? We don't know if it's pride. Maybe it's pride. Because Chizuru's issue is like the opposite of... It's like pride in reverse. What I mean is that... what is it? Brain work. Iroh, help me. It was your quote. Iroh, help me. It was your quote. God, my brain's busted. It's the line from Avatar where it's like... the source of blank is not... Pride. Iroh. Pride is not the opposite of shame, but its source. True humility is the only antidote to shame. There we go. Shame. Chizuru's issue is shame. Right? Chizuru's issue is shame and guilt. So, but pride is not its opposite, but its source. So Mommy possibly having a sense of pride does make sense. Kind of clicks. I don't know if it's fully pride, but she definitely wants Kazuya to see her, so pride could be a possibility. Oh, God. Right, so Ruka goes to Chizuru, right? Just straight up. Ruka just straight up goes to Chizuru, right? She's too afraid to interact with her. Because she knows if she does, like, it's all gonna shatter. Right? She's literally choosing the blue pill, right? But you can't choose the blue pill. That's not a thing. Because the moment you know the red pill exists, the blue pill isn't really a real option. Even if it were possible to distract Kazuya's attention a little, he would find solace in memories with Chizuru, a source of reassurance to dispel all his doubts. Yeah. Really love this chapter. I think the thing I like most about it is Kazuya seeing the similarity of how Mommy is acting now versus how Chizuru acted on the date. It'd be really fun, even if Mommy hopelessly confesses he put 2 and 2 together and realizes how Chizuru feels. I don't think that's the intention. It's not just about feelings. It feels like it's also about intention, right? Judging from Ruka's expression, and that would be really interesting if Kazuya misattributes Chizuru leading him on in the date to Mommy not leading him on now, even though Mommy is leading him on now, right? And Mommy's always been the one kind of leading him on, right? Knowing full well what that means. Judging from Ruka's expression in the last page, she's worried about having revealed their physical relationship to Umi and is afraid he'll tell everyone. It seems her attempt to stop him backfired and Chizuru found out. No. Umi just leaves like a sense of insecurity when it comes to Ruka. Okay, so the hero's journey. So let's see where we are. Okay, where the hell are we in this damn thing? Go away. Okay. Okay, so last I checked, we were in the second threshold. Refusal of the return, realm of the wild men, women or men, rescue from without, death of dreams, black moment, death of the soul. Crossing the third threshold, sacrifice action. We're definitely not here. But maybe we experience this through Ruka? Maybe we experience this through Ruka? Okay, let's let's go back to here. Okay, this is the second threshold, the spark. It is here, after the horror and ill-gotten victory over the second threshold, that the hero begins his return to the light. But the return is not without its hurdles. The hero, at this point, so devastated what he's become, loses hope in his quest in himself. Definitely not happening with Kazuya. Definitely not happening with Kazuya. His companions, with good intentions, try to persuade the hero. It makes me question if we're even in the second threshold. Dismemberment, wandering, harrowing of the soul. Maybe I've misunderstood this. Okay, the mentor, trials of worth. This is the part of the story after the mentor has gotten the hero to start the adventure. The hero is met with obstacles. These obstacles would be the things that test his resolve. The obstacles can be most anything: enemies, foreign lands, creatures, gaining allies. And not normal occurrences. The world the hero will adventure in, Campbell put it, the adventure will cross the first threshold of the journey. The first threshold, determination. Are we in the first threshold? Because this is making way more sense to me than anything else. I don't think we've gotten a lot of the other stuff. Determination. That's why I'm confused. Because the second threshold, maybe Kazuya never saw how much of a monster he is. Maybe I've just misunderstood where we are. I think that makes more sense. Maybe I've just misunderstood where we are. Because while Kazuya overcame... I think we're just in the first. I think there's a chance we're just in the first threshold. There's a chance I think we're just in the first threshold. Because I don't think Kazuya has, like, fully seen the monster, if you will. Maybe the second threshold, but haven't realized it. But what about, like, for example, the return? Or the sacrifice? Or, sorry, yeah, the return. So, okay, let me double check it. What does it say? Refusal of the return, Apophis, realm of wild women or men. I guess we kind of are there. I mean, there's the new rules, for sure. Crossing the second threshold, the midpoint, the reversal, the new rules. We kind of have that, absolutely. Right? We have the new rules. We have the reversal, right? There's a new set of rules that are currently going on, whether it be Umi, Mami, and all that stuff. Refusal of the return, Apophis. Apophis? Apothesis? What does that mean? Apophis. Something like that. I think I misspelled it. An elevation of the human divine status, or the highest point in the development something. It's the climax or ultimate peak. The term originates from Greek apotheia, meaning to defy. Wait, that actually matches Kazuya right now. Doesn't he seem like he's at his peak? Wait, we might actually be past the second threshold. Maybe I've misunderstood. Yeah, I think we're actually here. Kazuya does seem like he's at his highest right now, doesn't he? Right? It definitely seems like he's kind of at his highest, if you will. Realm of the wild women or men. Okay. Rescue from without. The magic flight. Ascent. Okay, no, I think we're here. Never mind. We're here. We definitely had a drop, right? We definitely had this drop where we felt like we fell to the fucking bottom, right? Didn't it feel like we fell to the fucking bottom? And now doesn't it feel like we're rising? So yes, okay, never mind. Ignore me. I'm fucking stupid. I just didn't understand because it didn't feel like we were following the immediate pattern presented to me, but I think I've just misunderstood how this was going. No. We are definitely ascending. Doesn't it literally feel like we're going upwards in a positive way? where Kazuya is definitely like literally starting to glow more. He feels a lot more certain. Things just seem correct, if you will, at least on surface level. So I would say, yeah, this makes sense. Refusal of the return. This is true because Chizuru refused to return, right? I would say, so in my opinion, feel free to disagree with me here. In my opinion, I think Chizuru might be the real hero of this arc. I think Chizuru might be the real hero of this arc, and we're having two heroes' journey happening at once. We're having two heroes' journey happening at once. So, Kazuya's hero's journey is like a broken hero's journey, that isn't necessarily correct, whereas Chizuru's hero's journey is like the true one, I would argue. And Chizuru has a refusal of the return, if you will, right? In that same way, we see a refusal of the return from Mami. You also see the realm of wild women or men definitely applicable to Mami, Ruka, Umi, and even Chizuru to some degree, right? So that stuff is there. Rescue from Without. I didn't see that one. I don't think they wrote it down. Hero's Journey. So here's a different depiction of it. Okay. Threshold, beginning of the transformation. Abyss, death and rebirth. Transformation, atonement, return. Okay, so we're definitely here in the transformation phase. We are not in the atonement phase. So we're here. This is where we are. We're somewhere in the transformation phase. We are not in the atonement phase. Right? We are definitely not in the atonement phase. Let's see. Initiation. So the departure, the initiation. The road of trials, the meeting of the goddess, the meeting with the goddess, the woman as the temptress, the atonement with the father, apothesis. Apothesis. I think this is kind of where we are. Test, allies and enemies, the innermost cave, the ordeal, the reward. Okay. Initiation, the road of trials. The road of trials is a series of tests which the hero must undergo to begin the transformation. Often heroes fail one or more of these tests. Kazuya is literally taking a test right now. Kazuya is literally taking a test right now. So there you go. Like, he's literally working on a test. Kazuya literally fails two tests. Right? Kazuya literally fails 2 tests. Right? He failed, well, technically 2. He failed 1. He failed at getting an internship, and 2, he failed at getting a ticket. Right? And he technically failed at his workout. So technically he failed 3 different things. Right? He thought he got buff. He wasn't buff. He didn't get his internship, or his job, and he didn't get the ticket for his for the play. So I think that's where we are, which often occurs in 3s. What did Kazuya do? He listed 3 things last chapter, right? What did Kazuya do? He listed 3 different things last chapter. He listed his job hunting. He listed his muscles, and he listed what is it? There was one other thing he listed. Muscles, job hunting. His license, right? Which he does not have yet, right? He's yet to fail the license, right? But he doesn't have it yet either. Okay. So, okay, we're definitely on the road of trials. Eventually, the hero will overcome these trials and move on to the next step. Campbell explains that. Once having traversed the threshold, the hero moves in a dream landscape of curiously fluid, ambiguous forms, where he must survive a succession of trials. This is a favorite phase of the myth adventure. It has produced a world literature of miraculous tests and ordeals. The hero is covertly aided by the advice, amulets, and the secret agents of the supernatural helper, whom he met before his entrance into this region. We literally see this. We literally see it. Minnie. Yes, literally everything Minnie and Sumi have done has guided this. Yes, all of this is real. Yeah, the machine Kazuya uses when he is in the gym is the same as Minnie's. It's the same one as Minnie's. And him looking in the mirror and feeling cool is literally the thing that Sumi implanted in him, right? His confidence, it literally comes from Sumi and Minnie. And then Mami is a kind of mentorish figure, if you will. Yeah, all of these things are implanted by the secret supernatural helper whom he met before the entrance into this region. Yes, that is Minnie, and that is Sumi. Or it might be that he here discovers for the first time that there is a benign power everywhere supporting him in his natural superhuman passage. The original departure into the land of trials represented only the beginning of the long and really perilous path of initiatory conquests and moments of illumination. Okay. Dragons have now to be slain and surprising barriers passed, again and again and again. Meanwhile, there will be a multitude of preliminary victories, unsustainable ecstasies, and momentary glimpses of the wonderful land. We literally saw all this, what the fuck? Preliminary victories, right? Early wins. He got his license. He's been working out. He's been applying to a lot of jobs. These were quick, immediate victories. Unsustainable ecstasies. He was on a high when he saw himself buff. He was on a he felt like he's on a high for a hot minute, right? Momentary glimpses of the wonderful land. Literally, what is he seeing? He's seeing beautiful things. Amazing, like he's seeing his future. He's imagining the literally mother's farm, a wonderful land with Chizuru. Okay? So yes, this is kind of where we are, the road of trials. This fits really well because he's quite literally on a road. This fits really well because he's quite literally on a road. Okay, so I think the problem is we focused on one particular version of the hero's journey because there's multiple, right? The circle is consistent. The naming of the hero's journey changes, right? So I think we're definitely here, the initiation or the second threshold. Meeting with the goddess. Campbell proposes that the ultimate adventure, when all the barriers and ogres have been overcome, is commonly represented as a mystical marriage of the triumphant hero's soul with the queen goddess of the world. This is the crisis at the nadir, the zenith, or at the innermost edge of the earth, at the central point of the cosmos. Okay, meeting with the goddess. Chizuru is literally in a play called The First Venus. Are you fucking kidding me? Are you fucking kidding me? It's all there, bro. Okay. Okay, so this is where the crisis begins. Meeting with the goddess. Okay. In the tabernacle of the temple, or within the darkness of the deepest chamber of the heart. Women, in the picture language of mythology, represent the totality of what can be known. The hero is the one who comes to know, as he progresses in the slow initiation, which is life. The form of the goddess undergoes for him a series of transfigurations. She can never be greater than himself, though she can always promise more than he is yet capable of comprehending. She lures, guides, she bids him burst his fetters. And if he can match her import, the knower and the known will be released from every limitation. Woman is the guide to the sublime essence of sensuous adventure. This seems a little sexist. Seems a little sexist. By deficient eyes, she is reduced to inferior states. By the evil of the ignorance, she is spellbound by banality and ugliness. Oh, okay. No. Okay, never mind. This isn't. when women are viewed through bias or by evil eyes, you don't see how much they can lift you up. But she is redeemed by the eyes of the understanding. The hero who can take her as she is, without undue commotion, but with the kindness and assurance she requires, is potentially king, the incarnate god or her created world. I mean, could we like... Come on. The meeting with the goddess, who is incarnate in every woman, is the final test of the talent of the hero to win the boon of love. Bro. Bro, please. Which is life itself enjoyed as the encasement of eternity. And when the adventurer in this context is not a youth but a maid, she is the one who, by her qualities, her beauty, or her yearning, is fit to become the consort of an immortal. Then the heavenly husband descends to her and conducts to her his bed, whether she will or not. And if she has shunned him, the scales fall from her eyes. If she has sought him, her desire finds its peace. Okay, so basically, like, if it's a dude, the woman empowers him, and if it's a woman, it's about whether she decides to be with it. Okay, this feels a little sexist. This feels a little sexist, just a tad, just a wee little bit. This feels a little sexist, just a wee little bit, but I can see what's going on here, right? The meeting with the goddess. Woman as a temptress. In this step, the hero faces those temptations, often of a physical or pleasurable nature. This may lead them to abandon or stray from their quest, which does not necessarily have to be represented by a woman. A woman is a metaphor for the physical or material temptation of life, since the hero knight was often tempted by lust from his spiritual journey. Okay. The Road of Trials. I think we're here. This feels like when Kazuya meets Chizuru or some shit. Right? This feels like when Kazuya meets Chizuru or some shit. If we look at this version of the hero's journey, we would be right here. Right? We would be around here. We're in the special world. We're not in the ordinary world. I think that's really important to point out. Wait, but from that description, this goes over here. That's confusing. Wait. Okay, let's see what they have to say. So let me double check this. Return. The magic's flight. Rescue from without. That's confusing. Okay. Departure. Where's the departure? The known to the unknown. Call the adventure, supernatural threshold. The beginning of the transformation. Abyss, death and rebirth. Return. Challenges from temptation. I think we're way past this. I think we're past the challenges of temptation. We are way past the challenges of temptation. We are definitely in the transformation / atonement. Okay. The Road of Trials. So Campbell is 1949. Okay, that explains why it's so weird. That explains why Campbell's description is so fucking weird and feels like it's a little sexist. It's because of the time it was written. Yeah, no fucking shit. Okay. Ordinary world, call to adventure, refusal of the call, meeting with the mentor, crossing the first threshold. Okay. Tests, allies, and enemies, the innermost cave, the ordeal, the reward. Christopher Volger. Yeah, so they're kind of following Campbell's version. I think we're kind of in the return. And that's kind of where we are. We're kind of in the return / apotheosis, death of dreams, the black moment, the dark night of the soul, the realization. This is where the atonement's going to start. This is, like, I think, our turning point. So right here, the death of dreams is our turning point. Right now we're in the magic flight. Just things are going well. Everything is going great, right? We're I would say we're in the apotheosis where we're like everything is peak cinema, right? Kazuya looks like peak cinema right now. Okay? Rescue from without. What is rescue from without? Okay. Oh, the rescue from without is when the hero loses himself. Okay. The rescue from without is when the hero loses himself and someone comes to save him. Okay. So Kazuya is going to have a rescue from without moment. It could be Chizuru. Okay. Okay. Crossing the first threshold. Initiation. Where's the second threshold? Apotheosis, the ultimate boon. Where's the second threshold? Atonement with the Father of the Abyss. In this step, the hero must confront to be initiated by whatever holds the ultimate power in their life. In many myths and the stories, this is the father or the father figure who has life or death power. This is the central point of the journey. All the previous steps have been moving into this place. All that follow will move out from it. Although an encounter with a male entity must frequently symbolize this step, it does not have to be male. Just something that with incredible power. This feels like Nagomi or Chizuru. Possibly Kazuya's dad. This is the point of realization in which the greater understanding is achieved. Armed with this new knowledge and perception, the hero is resolved and ready for the more difficult part of the adventure. Okay, the ultimate boon. The ultimate boon is the achievement of the goal of the quest. It is what the hero went on the journey to get. All the previous steps serve to prepare and purify the hero for this step, since in many myths, this is where everything's going to go wrong. The ultimate fucking boon is something transcendent like the elixir of life itself, or the plant that supplies immortality, or the Holy Grail. Okay. Refusal of the return. Having found bliss and enlightenment in the other world, the hero may not want to return to the ordinary world to bestow the boon onto the fellow beings. The magic flight. Sometimes the hero must escape with the boon if it is something that the gods have been jealously guarding. It can be just as adventurous and dangerous returning from the journey as it was to go on it. Rescue from without. Just as the hero may need guides and assistants to set out to the quest, often they may have powerful guides and rescuers to bring them back to everyday life, especially if the hero has been wounded or weakened by the experience. Crossing the return threshold. Campbell says the hero with the 1,000 faces that the returning hero, to complete his adventure, must survive the impact of the world. The goal of the return is to retain the wisdom gained on the quest and to integrate it into society. Yeah, so Kazuya has some, like, things he got from his quest that he has to integrate into society, but right now he's in the magic world, right? And I think what's going to happen is as we slowly get to Kazuya returning to his normal life, he's going to get more and more bored. I think that's what's going to happen. As Kazuya slowly starts to return to his ordinary life, he's going to start to, like, distance himself from it. Like, the closer we get, the more he's going to not want to, right? And I think that's going to be kind of the important thing. Master of the two worlds. For a human hero, it means achieving the balance between the material and the spiritual. The person has become comfortable and competent in both the inner and outer worlds. Okay. In popular culture and literature. Self-improvement therapy. Okay. Well, I'm going to read a little bit of what chat has been saying since, yeah, I kind of got off, like, track a little bit. I think I need to start reading a little more about the hero's journey. I need to like, refresh my memories and shit. Because I don't feel like I know it as well as I think I do. I really like that Kazuya finally asked a question about something he didn't understand in regards to the red bean bun. Hopefully this is a good practice for when he needs to talk to Chizuru. Yeah, that seems to be like a lot of the things that's going on in this journey is like to be able to take back the knowledge that he gained from this adventure back to his normal life. Maybe the second threshold, but we haven't realized it. It's possible it's being told out of order or backwards, and we started at the third threshold and it's reversed. No, because there was the call to adventure, the supernatural aid in Mini, the threshold guardians, the beginning of the transformation. Kazuya literally starts transforming. He cuts his hair and changes. There's the helper / mentor, which is Mini. We get both, technically. We get a helper and a mentor in Mini and in Sumi, right? Challenges and temptations. We had all of that, right? Ruka challenges and tempts Kazuya a fuckload. Right, that's a big thing that happens. Kazuya even is tempted by Mini herself. He's even tempted by Sumi. He's even tempted by Mami. Right, every single character has tempted him. The Kazuya has a re-revelation, if you will. He has a death and a rebirth where Kazuya falls into a very, very deep low, but he comes to a revelation about his love versus lust feelings, and he comes to this answer about his feelings. He begins to truly transform, right? Here, where he's beginning to have this like change in himself that everybody is complimenting and talking on. So I would say, no, we are in fact following the path pretty fucking accurately, right? I would say we are following the path pretty fucking accurately, right? We left the known world and we went into the unknown world. So much of what's going on right now is things we just don't fucking understand, right? Oh, sorry, you guys couldn't see it very well. Right, so much of what's going on in the story is just stuff we haven't been able to understand. We're literally in the spiritual world, in the unknown world. I would say it's following it pretty fucking accurately. They follow both heroes' journeys, but one is the normal path and the other is the abnormal path. I think Kazuya's is the normal path, but something is like kind of off. I agree, but I also have to ask, what if Nagomi is the hero of the arc? No, because she's never been a main character. It was rather obvious by her not being able to tell Kazuya the thing on his birthday most likely to do with his current situation. I really think we haven't hit the death yet. Kazuya hasn't realized any of his faults, and his rise is a false rise of delusion. He hasn't worked on anything that actually matters. Don't rush it. I would say he has learned things. I would say Kazuya has learned and gotten things from this journey. It's not just nothing. So I don't know. Like that's why I'm saying it's a broken hero's journey, because it is a hero's journey, absolutely. But it's broken because there's a lot of delusion in it, right? So it is still a hero's journey. It's just there's a lot of delusion in it. But that doesn't mean nothing is being gained here. So I do think that's not necessarily accurate. There is something definitely being gained here. Chizuru and Kazuya's hero's journeys are inverted. Chizuru started as a helpful and caring person, and she had the backup of the audience, but little by little her actions caused animosity among the fans. So there's a bit of an issue with what you're talking about, Roman. Maybe I'll elaborate later, but I'm not talking about the story as a whole. I think there's a bit of a misunderstanding here. I'm not talking about the story as a whole. I'm just talking about where we are right now. I'm purely talking about where we are right now. Okay? And I think that's where the misunderstanding has occurred. As for Chizuru's animosity, it has been Reiji's attempt to humanize her. Okay? And I think people have just fundamentally misunderstood and not like been able to vibe with that. In particular, Reiji has been going out of his way to demystify Chizuru to the audience in, like, I would say in very intense and almost jarring ways that the audience cannot cope with. I would say a lot of people just can't cope with Chizuru not being this perfect goddess character. And there's this lot of dissonance happening in the story where Kazuya still calls her a goddess, but you don't believe it anymore, you know? And I think that's really important to Chizuru's story, to humanize her, that I think a lot of the readers just aren't vibing with. Not because it's poorly written, but because it's of how a lot of media has been created for a long time, especially around women, where we try to mystify them, and they have to be perfect and amazing. And I think that's definitely a thing that's happening here. There's a lot of bias with Chizuru's character that people just aren't seeing. Kazuya started from the bottom. He was despised for his pathetic, annoying attitude from the audience, and now they've seen his true colors and audience love him. That's not necessarily true. No. Core readers absolutely love Kazuya. Non-core readers still fucking hate him. I would say even some core readers don't like Kazuya. No. The simple truth is, there are people who are biased towards Kazuya, and there are people who are biased towards Chizuru, and there are people who are biased towards Ruka, and the list goes on and on and on, right? And there are people who don't like them as well, right? There's a positive bias and a negative bias. And it's simply not true to say one is this and one is this. That's not true. I will say there's a lot of animosity towards Chizuru, and there is a lot of you want Kazuya to get rewarded kind of thing. However, I think this is really important. A lot of people think Kazuya is dumb for his feelings. And at the same time, there's a lot of people who are like, they just want to reward Kazuya. Both of these fall into the same problem. Both of these fall into the same problem of fundamentally misunderstanding love. In putting Kazuya on the hero's journey, it challenges his perception as well as the readers in their understanding of love. Because they are blind to this idea that Kazuya is good or Kazuya is bad for either doing what the audience wants or not doing what the audience wants. And the whole point is that they're both incorrect. They're both wrong. Right? Because now what's happening is you're mystifying Kazuya. That is the problem. You're demonizing Chizuru and you're romanticizing Kazuya. And Reiji is leveraging that very purposefully. He's absolutely purposefully leveraging that. He's absolutely been doing a lot of mystifying of Kazuya's character while at the same time dragging you down. There's a duality to his character that's really good, where you're constantly like shown his worst and his best. And a lot of readers, I would argue, just can't cope with that shit. And they gotta come up with some weird fucking shit to like describe their interpretation of it, like Reiji self-inserting, right? Instead of realizing Kazuya is both gaining things and absolutely losing a lot too. Now Kazuya is heading towards the abyss and Chizuru is improving baby steps. No, I would argue there are things Chizuru is improving on, and Chizuru is, no, I would argue Kazuya has been walking to this abyss for a while. This drop, right? This drop that Kazuya has been experiencing for a while, this is something he's been undergoing for a hot minute, and he's kind of been doing it to himself, right? As well as it's kind of happening to him out of outsiders. Read Twitch too. I know there's a lot on Twitch. I'll get to it in a second. Relax. There's only Goku on that side. Which, by the way, we could use more people on Twitch. Hello. Yeah. So no, I would argue it's good that Chizuru is rising and Kazuya is kind of falling, because in falling, he can be helped outside properly, because Minnie has been setting him up to fall for a while, and he's kind of let her. He's letting a lot of the people around him set him up to fall. But he also needs to realize that he's not completely useless. His effort isn't completely useless, but he needs to fall to see how much his effort has in fact mattered. Okay. Kazuya has learned from getting burned. Oh, wait, I probably should do this. Even though he's constantly questioned whether or not he should or shouldn't do so. Kazuya is shattering the veil of illusions. He's starting to understand what's false and what's real by doing so. He's little by little gaining ground, but is disguised by going backwards. That's exactly the issue, though, is like once he truly is able to distinguish lies from truth, it's going to break his mind. Not in like a mindfuck kind of way, but in the, oh my god, I've misunderstood everything. He is gaining something, and in so doing, he's breaking his coping mechanisms. When his coping mechanisms break, shit's gonna hit the fan, okay? That's what I mean. He is gaining something from this, but in gaining something, you must lose something else. And in this case, he's gonna probably lose his coping mechanisms. Okay, let's read Twitch side, and then hopefully get ready to get into... I have some other things, actually, on Twitter. Some other things on Twitter I want to check, so give me a sec. Just like some epic as fuck Final Fantasy music is playing in the background. That's so funny. Just some epic as fuck Final Fantasy music is playing in the background. Oh, the fucking guitar is popping off, dude. That guitar is popping the fuck off. Oh, Argentina won. I don't know how to feel about that. Argentina won and England lost. Yes for England losing. Fuck for Argentina winning. Fuck. Has my punctuation been better? I would say... So I would say this one is better, is good. This one needs work. This one right here needs a bit of work. Kazi has learned from getting burned. Oh, wait, I probably should do this. Here you could do like a comma and then put like parentheses, or not parentheses, quotation marks. And that might help a little bit, even though he's consistently, whether or not he should or shouldn't do this. Here, this sentence is kind of messy. It needs a bit of work. Okay. Oh, it's the horny song. Oh, it's the horny song. Oh my god, this fucking song is so funny. This is the Dami Mommy song. This is the Dami Mommy song from Final Fantasy. They had this like raid series where your fight, it's pretty much just like WrestleMania, right? The raid series is just WrestleMania, but like with characters, and she's just the Dami Mommy. And the song like is just like her, like, it's just very horny. Get down on your knees, bro. Right? Oh my god, this shit's so funny. On your knees. So fucking horny. Final Fantasy is so fun. 14 in particular is so fucking funny sometimes. Yeah, I think one thing Reiji has been doing, I just saw this post. One thing Reiji has definitely been doing is trying to get you fond of these, like, the side characters whom you've had hatred for. Can't hear the song? Oh, you can't hear it? I've kept it kind of low intentionally, so. Can you kind of hear it now? I've been intentionally keeping it kind of low, just so I don't get copyright into oblivion. You still can't hear it? Wait, you still can't hear anything? Huh. I'm surprised. That's weird. No? What? Here, I'm going to pause the music. And then I'm going to rewind YouTube just a bit just to see if I can hear anything. Okay. Can I hear anything? Oh, I kind of can't hear it. Oh, wow. I kind of can't hear it now. Let's see if I can hear it when I raise the volume. Yeah, I can't really hear it. Yeah, I can't really hear it. I'll just turn it up a little bit. That should be fine. Yeah. If anything, keeping it low is good. Yeah, I think this is okay. Around here is okay. Not too loud, not too low. But yeah, like I was saying, I think what Reishi has been doing... no music for you either. Okay, well, that's fine. I turned it up just a little bit, so it's a little more hearable. But yeah, I think what Reishi's definitely been doing with the current arc, or saga, whatever you want to call this, is definitely trying to get you to like certain characters more and to look at other characters in different ways. What do I mean? Well, he's definitely getting you to like Mommy. That's for fucking sure. He's definitely starting to get you to like Mommy. That's 100% for sure. On the other hand, Ruka, he's starting to humanize a little bit, right? I think people with Ruka are starting to cope a little bit, you know? Like, he's starting to show Ruka kind of for who she is, right? Whereas with Mommy, it's like, oh, look, she's not just evil, right? With Mommy, she's not just evil. She can be kind of cute, too. She's a cutie fucking patootie, right? Right? And Umi, I'm liking Umi. Umi's kind of in the middle, but he's definitely starting to humanize Umi too. Right? Umi's kind of in the middle. He's definitely starting to demystify Umi just a tad. Because Umi is mystified in a demon way, in a very demon way, I would say. Right? He's starting to show you more of Umi's good traits, while still maintaining some of his negative traits. Right? There's still that negative undertone to Umi's character, but he's definitely starting to show you more positive traits. Right? So he's demystifying Umi just like he's demystifying Chizuru. In that same way, he's romanticizing Mommy, a character whom has been demonized for a huge portion of this manga, is now starting to get very romanticized. And Ruka, in contrast, is starting to get a little demonized, right? Ruka still has her cute behavior, right? But the cuteness is literally starting to get taken too far, right? The cuteness is literally starting to get taken a little too far. So now you're just like, I'm a little sussy-wussy about this, buddy. I don't know how to feel about this. Ruka's kind of weird, right? And he's doing it intentionally because a lot of readers look at these characters in certain ways. Kiba and Curry need to step it up. Kiba and Curry, I think what Reiji is doing is he's kind of romanticized them a little bit. So I would say throughout Hawaiians and post-Hawaiians, Reiji has kind of presented Kiba and Curry in certain ways. So what is he doing? He's starting to, like, slowly but surely try to show you, hey, they're kind of fucking up. They're kind of fucking up, right? He's starting to reframe them ever so slightly. Whereas with Mommy, it's like Mommy's like the more interesting one, specifically because he's demonized her for so long. Now he's romanticizing her. He puts her on two completely separate extremes. And I think that's really interesting direction for her character as a contrast to Chizuru, whom at this point in the manga is demonized by a lot of people, right? The character who's the heroine of this story is being demonized, and the character who's often been associated with the villainess of this story is being very romanticized. This is not a coincidence. This is not a coincidence, dude. Especially considering the play we saw on Chizuru for Volume 45, where it literally says, like, the good man and the bad woman or something like that. Like that, and it's written in hiragana, so it's intentionally vague and it's interpretive. Like, that doesn't feel like it's by coincidence at all. So him starting to get you to like Mommy and drop your perception of her, while at the same time somewhat demonizing Chizuru while also romanticizing her, is just, yeah. And then Umi is literally in the middle. Umi's literally in the middle. He's neither bad nor good. Therefore, you can have both interpretations. Umi seems like a good guy, Umi seems like a bad guy. Both are true, intentionally so. And this is a writing technique by Reiji, less so than just straight up the character. There is an aspect of Umi in that, right? Absolutely. I'm not going to pretend like there isn't. Like, Umi is definitely like a character who walks that middle ground, right? Where it's kind of hard to figure him out. You just don't know what you're fucking looking at, you know? And I think that's intentional, but I think it's also Reiji's attempt to do that. And I've been seeing this a lot. A lot of people are starting to like Mommy. A lot of people are definitely starting to like Mommy. And that seems like very intentional by Reiji, right? But it's also intentional that he's avoiding the negative aspects of her character because you are. This is the problem with romanticizing or demonizing people. You don't see the full truth. When you romanticize Mommy, you don't acknowledge that she hasn't dealt with any of her negative shit that she's done. When you demonize Chizuru, you refuse to see all the positive shit she's done. People are oftentimes somewhere in the middle, right? However, sometimes, like, things are just that bad, right? Mommy has absolutely done horrendous shit, but she can still be cute. Chizuru has absolutely done a lot of good shit. She's a good person. She tries to step up constantly. She's also fucked up a lot, right? People are starting to like Mommy by making you forget her past. But the negative aspects are all there for us to see. We just choose to ignore it temporarily. No. We live in a digital age, okay? This is what Reiji's leveraging. This is where I think you're misunderstanding. We live in a digital age where everything is temporary. Everything is temporary. So we're not choosing to forget it temporarily. We just... It itself was temporary. The negative aspects of Mommy's character in of itself was temporary. So, you just forgot. And you just completely ignore that it still exists. Think of it like object permanence. Who knows what object permanence is? Object permanence is basically the idea of, like, things existing even when you're not seeing them. Right? Object permanence is the understanding that whether an object can be sensed has no effect on whether it continues to exist. Right? So just because you don't see something, it doesn't mean it's not there. However, your perception, your mind, to you, it is temporary. So you forgot. And because we live in a digital age where everything is constantly just moving forward, non-fucking stop, literally as a mirror to Kazuya's character, we just kind of forgot. It didn't stick long enough in our head to matter. So we just moved on, but it still happened. Its effects are still constantly haunting the narrative. So just because we forgot it doesn't mean it's not there. However, what the story is doing is leveraging that. It's leveraging what the internet does, where it's just constantly engagement bait. And because it's constant engagement bait, it becomes shallow. It's literally Reiji's words in his recent interview, where he was literally talking about this. He was saying how the more connected you become with, like, the internet and internet culture, the shallower your connection becomes, right? Let me see if I can pull it up. Reiji. Right? I've read this quote a few times now, but I think it's very, very relevant. Today, we have so much social media, and the more connections you have through it, the thinner and shallower they become. The fact that you are forming this connection through social media, if you will, through not really rereading the series, right? You're not really forming a bond with this series. I would argue a lot of people, when they read manga, especially when they either binge it or get caught up to it and then just read weekly, they tend to forget what's happened. Right? They tend to forget... Oh, shit. I better... Okay, hold on. This song is copyrighted into oblivion, so I'm going to turn it off. This song is done by the... So, okay, for those who don't know, the song that's playing... the song that's playing is Everything Burns. This was like the dude who worked on it was like the what's his name for brain work. It's this song was done by the people who did he's from Rage Against the Machines. He's the guitarist from Rage Against the Machines. So this song is like copyrighted into fucking oblivion. I think. I'm pretty sure. It's a peak song, mind you, but it's absolutely copyrighted into fucking oblivion. See if I can get something else. blah, blah. Oh, I know. I'll play Ada's theme from Resident Evil 2. I often associate Ada's theme from Resident Evil 2 with Mommy. I often associate Ada's theme from Resident Evil 2 with Mommy. Like I think the iconic quote from Ada in the original Resident Evil 2 is, I'm not capable of caring about anyone, but I don't want to lose you. And I think that really fits her. The song is like very hollow and it feels like kind of empty. But it's also like very filled with emotions, right? It's like hollow emptiness, but so emotional. And I think that kind of weirdly fits Mommy's character. Anyways, yeah, so I think that is definitely kind of key to Mommy's character. How we have connected to her through social media, because of how we've read the manga, right? All we care about is our immediate feelings, not what she has done or how she has atoned. Rather, just how she makes us feel. I think there's something you can definitely see with a lot of politics these days. A lot of the times with politics, it's just about what the politician makes you feel, rather than like what they've actually done and what they will do, or their credit or their credibility or their past or any of that stuff. None of that matters. It's just in this exact moment of feelings and emotions, this is what it's making you feel, and this is what you attach yourself to. I think that's very core to Mommy's character. Reiji, in my opinion, has been consistently, ever since the Odaiba date, maybe, right? Ever since maybe the Odaiba date, or maybe even after the 3-month time skip, has just been sticking to his guns to this idea of you're stuck in the present, right? You're just trapped in the present. You refuse to acknowledge the past, and you refuse to face the future. You're just trapped in the present. And I think that's literally what social media is, right? Social media wants you to be stuck now. It doesn't want you to think about the future, and it doesn't want you to think about the past. It just wants you to engage. Engage. Just don't stop engaging. So Mommy's character absolutely, in my opinion, represents that. She's a character that 100% represents that, where you're so busy seeing her present. You're not considering her future, just as she's not even considering her future, and you don't remember her past, right? The runtime for the new Resident Evil movie is brutal. It's only 1 hour and 35 minutes. That's way too short in my opinion. Not necessarily. You use that shit correctly. If anything, that tells me it's very concise and to the point, depending on how it's done, right? It's either too short, not enough time for it to cook, or it's just the right length. And I think that's really fitting because Resident Evil games technically aren't very long. Resident Evil games aren't very long. You can probably... I've seen people, like, beat Resident Evil 2 Remake. I've seen a dude beat Resident Evil 2 Remake in 45 minutes. I'm not fucking kidding. Right? I've seen people beat these games at insane records. The games want you to speedrun them. So I think the movie not being super long fits the series quite well because the series is pretty, like, to the point, very direct. I think that works. Okay, sorry, ranted a little bit. I think the big reason why he's doing this is because it helps put us into Kazuya's mindset. Because we can't empathize with his ability to forget otherwise. Yeah, Kazuya is definitely trapped in the moment, right? And now we're feeling this way, and we don't even realize it, right? In a sense, it's what I've said before. We've forgotten so much. We are so trapped in the present. We're so trapped in this moment that we're not remembering anything. We kind of just forgot everything. And I think Reiji has, like, immaculately trapped us in the present, as Kazuya is trapped in the present. And we're learning things without realizing we're learning things. I think that's what these chapters have been doing. These chapters have been teaching us things without us realizing. They've been teaching us certain things without us realizing. Especially for some of the younger folks reading this manga. And eventually those lessons will come to the forefront and we'll start to realize what Reiji's been cooking. But so much of this has been like a slow learning process, you know? It's definitely forcing you to not actively engage. Like, you don't need to constantly engage your mind. Just take a minute and think, right? Act, don't react. I would argue a lot of mangas nowadays, whether it be how you read them or how you engage with them, you're reacting. A lot of my favorite stories, I found, personally, are stories that force me to think. Right? They stop me from just, oh, this is so good, this is such a good message, this is what I wanted to hear, and they stop me and they get me to think. Even like Dune, for instance. Like, for example, I watched Dune 2. I didn't like it as much as Dune 1, even though Dune 2 was way more heavily praised. I later realized some of it was due to my own bias, due to the times where we are right now. Because what the story does is essentially romanticize and villainize the main character at the same time. What I wanted is for it to just outright villainize him because it would send the message harder for certain people. Because I do definitely think a lot of people miss the message, and it became a meme about how people miss the message, which is how the main dude is using everybody, you know? Paul, he's using everybody. He's using these poor people, right? He's weaponizing them. And I think that the story romanticizes him to reflect how the people are romanticizing him, as well as villainize him. And I think my issue with the film when I was watching, and the reason I was frustrated personally, was because there's so much romanticization of political leaders these days that we're too afraid to see them for who they are. So I guess that was kind of my issue with the film, personally, rather than the film's issue itself. Right? It was romanticizing him to also, and as well as demonizing him. But that's my stance, right? I think a lot of stories are kind of like this. I think stories who are not afraid to romanticize the villain as well as demonize him are good stories. And I think for this one in particular, I just kind of felt weird because it was present in a very politically charged era where we need to start seeing people for who they are, you know? Yeah, I don't disagree with anything you've said. It's interesting that Reishi is able to do that, just masterful writing. And its writing, I think, in the modern era won't be appreciated. This type of writing, I think, in the modern era just really won't be appreciated until it maybe starts clicking for people. It's very not internet. Even some of my favorite stories, like I've mentioned before, my second favorite romance is How Do We Relationship. There is a story in that one that is very nuanced and complicated. I've mentioned it in previous streams, where it's this like really cute relationship at first that very much devolves. It devolves into something really brutal. But I think that's what made it good. And I think so many people are just busy hating it that they don't see that it was like something the character almost needed to experience to understand and to value themselves. Because the whole point of the character who was in that relationship is that she was essentially kind of like Kazuya. The character I'm talking about is Miwa. How do we relationship? So this girl right here, she had this issue of like not really valuing herself, and in so doing, she couldn't value this girl. She gets into a second relationship with this younger girl, and it gets so uncomfortably toxic for both of them that the younger girl ends up dominating and hurting her. I would say there's a big parallel between that second relationship and Kazuya and Ruka, where Kazuya lets Ruka control him, just as Miwa here lets that other girl control her. Let me see if I can find the volume covers. So this is the girl that I'm talking about, right? Her and Miwa end up dating. Right here it is. Right here it is. They end up dating. Their relationship is really cute at first. But it eventually devolves into something very toxic. In contrast, this girl ends up dating this girl right here who kind of looks like a vampire. I fucking love her. Their relationship is really healthy. Like, incredibly healthy. But it still doesn't work. What the whole point, in my opinion, of that story, and I think what's so sad that people don't see, is that how a relationship that's negative can result in something positive, and how a relationship that's positive can result in something negative. And so these two relationships are like two opposite extremes, where both of them ended up holding each other back, but they needed to see what was holding what was holding them back. And I think it's really sad that people don't see this relationship for what it is, that it's actually very tragic. It's not just toxic. It's very tragic. People just don't realize what they're doing. Right? This girl doesn't realize how the thing that this girl, Miwa, loved about her, to begin with, ultimately became something that scares her. Right? So this girl is a singer. Right? This younger girl is a singer. And she's a guitarist, right? Miwa's a guitarist. They have a band, right? They're in college and they have a band. And she loves her singing voice. She thinks she has a really pretty singing voice. She doesn't have faith in her singing voice. Eventually, her voice becomes a source of fear for this girl because of how she speaks, because of how scary it is. And it's so sad that something that was beautiful like that became something so negative. And in so doing, it helped this girl value herself. Whereas this girl right here learned what a real loving relationship is. Right? This girl learned like real acceptance and a loving relationship. And so through these two relationships, they learned how to form a relationship with each other. In having these separate relationships, they learned how to have a relationship with each other. And their relationship like truly blossomed and grew and became something beautiful. Anyways, long rant short, what I was trying to highlight that I lost track of is that the way people see this relationship, that they don't understand its nuance, mirrors Mommy, the nuance with Mommy and the nuance with Chizuru. I think this is a series that has very fucked up characters, right? These characters do bad things. Fucking absolutely. They all do bad things. Right? Like, their relationships end up being manipulative, hurtful. Even the healthy ones end up being destructive. Right? And it's too sad. It's too bad people don't notice these things. I want to get this manga, by the way. I've been putting it off, but I definitely want to get the whole manga. I was hoping to get a box set. That's why I was researching that. I was hoping to get a box set, but there's no fucking box set. I'm so mad. There's no goddamn box set. Maison Ikoku also doesn't have a box set, which pisses me off. Anyways, ranted for a bit. Sorry, I haven't been reading YouTube chat. Umi has good vibes and bad vibes. Yep, he just doesn't seem genuine like Kazuya does. He has fakeness and genuineness to him, as well as Kazuya has fakeness and genuineness to him. How late was I? Not that late. Ruka is a character that never apologizes, but she's driven by action. I think Ruka has apologized, just not for the right things. Mommy is a character that neither takes action or apologizes. Oh, you missed my comments. Oh, I'll read that in a sec, sorry. And Chizuru is in the middle. She apologizes a lot, but doesn't know how to act. Chizuru tries to act, but kind of doesn't know how, but she does apologize, yes. I associate the violin riff from the Penguin theme to Umi for some reason. More like, oh shit, he's here, than a villain theme could use for Mommy. But Penguin is a villain. Dude, the runtime... Oh, okay, we already talked about this. I think we're confused. It's the director said it takes place during the Leon, Claire, Jill, and Carlos are doing in Raccoon City in a different part of the city. Yet he's snowing for some reason. So no, he just said it's a different place in Raccoon's... It takes place at the same time, not necessarily in the same place. It takes place in the same time, not necessarily in the same place. That's all I think. Like, I don't know if it's actually in Raccoon City. Actually, I don't remember when. When is Resident Evil 2 in the winter? Was it winter in Resident Evil? It does not take place in winter. Huh. September 30th, 1998. It definitely wasn't winter. It's weird. Yeah, so I'm going to go on a wild guess and say it's not in the same place, just the same time. Batman 2 got delayed to 2028. Not surprising. Did you see the original Dune, like the 80s version? Nope. I started reading the book and I kind of tuned out. This is why, while I really hate it because this musical and Phantom of the Opera is a good movie. Are you aware of the music in the background? He did that on purpose, Bacon. Oh, okay. Okay, let's go read. Oh my god, you wrote a lot, Goku. And then there's a thing I gotta ban. Be gone. Let's see. One thing I really like about Reiji's writing is how he shifts the emotional perspective instead of just moving the plot. The chapter starts... So, we'll go to the current chapter since you're talking about the current chapter. Ooh, it's a remix of Resident Evil 4's theme. Ooh. Let's see. The chapter starts by making us see Mommy through Kazuya's eyes. Then suddenly flips and lets us see Kazuya through Mommy's eyes by the end. Yeah, I talked about this too. Yeah. The story isn't really changing locations, it's changing who owns the emotion of the chapter. Okay, I can kind of see that. Maybe less so the emotion and the perspective. Right, maybe less so the emotion or the perspective. I think perspective is key here. Less so than emotion. Right, I think perspective is very key here. Less so than emotion. In fact, seeing someone through a mirror is about perspective. Seeing someone through a TV is about perspective. Okay. So, maybe we could say the theme of the chapter is perspective through a mirror. How does a mirror shape your perspective? It flips it. Right? How does a mirror shape your perspective? It turns it around. And it might disorient how you see things. Contrast. Looks directly at Kazuya, but how is it like seeing someone from behind? Right? How's it like seeing someone from behind? Or wait, oh, never mind. She's looking at Kazuya from the mirror. Okay, so that remains consistent through the chapter. She's not just looking at Kazuya's face, she sees Kazuya's face through the mirror. How does a mirror shape your perspective? That is the theme of this chapter, how a mirror shapes your perspective. Okay, we're getting somewhere. I think I might be able to cook a little bit with this. I think we're still in the road back. The hero has already earned the chance to reach his goal, but the story is testing whether he can actually live with it. It's one thing to fight for love, but it's another to maintain it once it's within reach. The final transformation hasn't happened yet because Kazuya hasn't been forced to prove that his growth is permanent. I could be wrong. I feel like you're kind of onto something, but it's like you're a few steps ahead. Maybe it feels like you're kind of a few steps ahead, right? I don't feel like that's where we are. I think what you're describing, I don't feel like that's where we are. That feels like it's after like the third threshold or the atonement or something. So that doesn't feel quite right. Ruka watches Umi on TV. This is another Ruka watches Umi on TV. This is another observation scene from the chapter, but unlike the others like Mami and Kazuya, it's one-sided. Yeah, so maybe to adjust that a little bit, maybe to adjust the theme a little bit. Not simply seeing someone, not perspective through a mirror, even though this is a mirror, but perspective through a screen. Right? How does a screen shape your perspective? Because a screen can be a TV as well as a literal mirror. Granted, this is a mirror, right? What Umi does is a mirror. So But how does that connect? If that's the theme, how does that connect through the cover? Or how is that connected to the cover? There's also the mirror of Mommy mirroring Chizuru. So have we ever had a cover where Chizuru wears a bunny girl outfit? Like in the cover? We've had one with Minnie. We had one with Minnie. I'm sure of that. So let me see if I can pull the Minnie one up. There we go. So there's the Minnie one. So here's Minnie. Cool things I want you to notice. Cool things I want you to notice. There's slight differences, right? Minnie's is so tight that her boobs are emphasized, but no, look at her collar. There's a bell, right? With Minnie, it feels like what it's conveying with the bunny outfit is, kind of like a servant, right? With Minnie, it feels like what it's conveying with the outfit, it's kind of like a servant. But look at Mommy. I just noticed this. She has a ribbon. Why is this important? Well, there's a perfect example right about here. Do you remember Chizuru's second outfit? It has a collar and a ribbon. A collar and a ribbon. So the ribbon here is meant to convey perfection, idealism, right? Mommy having a ribbon, whereas Minnie has a bell, is a little different. Right? One is a servant, right? Minnie is intentionally presented as like a servant, right? A servant bunny girl, right? She's serving you, which is very fitting for her character. Mommy is not necessarily serving; she's posing, right? Mommy is definitely posing, and it's a very Chizuru-like pose. But she's trying to present perfection. Chizuru's bunny outfit, chapter 311. No. So a cover of a Chizuru bunny outfit, not just a bunny outfit. Yeah, so there's this one, but this isn't really like a bunny outfit. This is more in line with Ruka, because Ruka also had a bunny outfit recently. Let's pull that up. Right, Ruka also had a bunny outfit recently. And it was more in line with like Chizuru's. What the hell? That's not what I clicked on. Let's see. Not that one. Blah, blah, blah. There we go. Yeah, so this was Ruka's bunny outfit. And again, more in line with Chizuru's. I think Chizuru's had a bunny outfit before, but it wasn't quite like that. All right. So Mommy's bunny outfit is interesting, right? In contrast to Minnie's. Right? What's emphasized is more like her hips and her shoulders. Whereas with Minnie, it's a little different. Yeah, with Minnie, it's a little different. Yes, you can see the shoulders, but it's more so her boobs, right? And the little boobs she's got. Okay. So we're piecing some information down here a little bit. Kazuya is intentionally presented like a wolf here. We never did figure out what his shirt said. Yeah, perspective is correct. We have. Yeah, it was like a hoodie, right? It says wolf. Okay, so it does say wolf. Chizuru wears a bunny dress in cosplay arc. Yes, we know that. I'm aware, but not a cover bunny dress isn't the same as in chapter. Okay, so for this, I think this kind of shapes perspective too, right? I think perspective is very key for this one too. Mommy is looks like, on a surface level, a careless bunny next to a wolf, right? But what do the words in the chapter say, right? The words here in the cover say something else, right? Perspective shapes this, right? Perspective shapes this image. You see, look at how mommy looks here and look at how mommy looks here. This image is also contrasted somewhat with this image, right? I think with mommy, the cover's trying to give you an element of innocence, right? It's trying to give you an element of innocence, whereas with Kazuya, it's trying to convey an element of danger and scary. Let's see. Brain work. I was going to look up something. Oh, yeah, I was going to look up what these words say, right? So Crumpy sent us what these words said. So let me show you guys. Okay, so remember, this one also plays on perspective. The words for it read, a careless rabbit and a wolf who sees this opportunity. Or does he instead see love? Okay, so maybe this chapter isn't simply just perspective, but what do you see when you look in a screen? Right? What do you see when you look at a screen? Which is perspective, right? But seeing, right? What does the wolf see and what does the rabbit see? The wolf sees a careless rabbit. The rabbit, does she see a wolf? What does she see? Right? It doesn't talk about what the rabbit sees. It talks about what the wolf sees. But they're both looking at each other. Okay, so what do you see when you look at another person? And how does that person appear in a mirror? Right? A careless rabbit and a wolf who sees this opportunity. Or does he instead see love? Okay, so this is, so for this one, it's a play with the word Suki, which means opening, chance, carelessness, etc., and Suki, which also means love. Spelled completely differently, but sound the same. Okay. Things that are spelled completely differently, but sound the same. And how things can look different. Right? They can sound exactly the same, but look completely different. I feel like this goes a little deeper than perception. There's something else here. Something goes a little deeper than perception. No, I feel like I'm missing something. What you see in a mirror, it feels like something a little deeper. I just can't quite put a pin on it. I didn't finish your Ruka comment. Ruka watches Umi on TV. This is an observation scene from the chapter, but unlike the others like Mami and Kazuya, it's one-sided. Yeah. Umi isn't aware of her at all. This emphasizes Ruka's emotional isolation. She's projecting her own thoughts onto someone who isn't part of the moment. I was gonna get to that. Like, I saw that. I was gonna get to that, but yes. At least Kazuya and Mami are, like, looking at each other like a person who's actually present, but they're not connected necessarily to this person. They're on, like, totally different wavelengths. Mami is posing for someone who's not looking at her, and Kazuya is, looking forward to a person who's not here, right? In contrast, right? Or sorry, Kazuya was looking at Mami, but he isn't looking anymore. In contrast, Ruka is with another person, but doesn't see this person and instead sees someone on TV who's not even here. Okay, so there's an element of isolation that we're not addressing here, right? There's an element of isolation that we're not addressing here. Okay. Looking at someone who doesn't see you. I think we're getting a little closer. Looking in a mirror, how someone appears in a mirror of perspective that doesn't, how do I phrase this? Yeah, seeing someone through a mirror doesn't mean they look at you. Something like that. I think we're getting a little closer. Isolation, seeing someone through a mirror and not actually connecting to them. Okay, so those are like, so perspective, isolation, seeing someone through a mirror, and not connecting. those are like roughly the 4 things. In the final page here, it says bitter memories and complex emotions. Right, so she looks at Umi, she sees bitter memories and complex emotions. Okay. 415 has a Sumi outfit where she's dressed in a bunny girl outfit. You're right. I totally forgot about that. 415 has the bunny girl Sumi. There's a lot of bunny girls here. Sumi poses but hides herself. Damn, the fucking curvature on her legs is actually impressive. It's less sexy and more just impressive. Like, look at them curves. Jesus Christ, dude. He nailed that shit. Okay. Opportunity and love are spoken the same way. So I think you're definitely hitting something here. Opportunity and love. As well as carelessness. Opportunity and carelessness are like kind of spoken in a similar way as love. Also interesting, bunny and wolf are written in katakana in contrast to them using the kanji for wolf on Kazuya's shirt. Why? Weird. Are we ever going to get the condom incident with Mami and Kazuya paid off? Not for a hot minute. You want to know why? You want to know why, buddy? Because we had to wait how long for the Umi thing to pay off? So Umi saw Kazuya and Ruka in like chapter 408. Right? Chapter 408 is when he saw it. When did Umi actually fucking address it? 426. Almost 20 chapters later. Nearly 20 chapters later, like 18 chapters later, that's when the condom incident was addressed. It's gonna be a hot minute, buddy. Like, when did we see the condom thing with Mami? It was like 421, I think, or something like that. No, maybe it was like 422. Nope, not that either. No, maybe I'm too far ahead. Maybe it was like 413. Nope. 414. No, not that. That's what Cedric's stuff. 412. 415. Nope. That's not right. 411. Oh, that doesn't make sense either. Where the hell was it? Where was it? 410? No, that doesn't make sense either. 409. Nope. That's not where it was. I don't know where it was. No fucking clue. When was the condom incident? Alright, when did Mommy see that? Like, was it 417? Nope. I don't remember. 422. Really? You sure? Nope. That's not where 422 ends. That's definitely not where 422 ends. Maybe 423? Nope, that's where Ruka shows up. So 421? But I checked 421 earlier. Nope, that's the Sumi chapter. 424? Nope, that's Chizuru's shit. I don't know. Someone fucking remind me. I don't know. I like totally forgot. 405, 406, 407, 408, 409, 410, 411. No, not 411. 412? Nope. 413. I doubt it. Nobody, nope. 414. I doubt that one. Nobody, nope. I don't see it. 416. Yep, there's the mommy incident. Not 417, that's for sure. 418? No, that's when he runs into Sumi. That's when he's Sumi. 420, definitely not it. 421, I just checked you. Where the fuck was it? Where's the condom bullshit? Was that... no way it was before. No, that doesn't make sense. Where the fuck is it? Yeah, not there. We already checked 423. It was not there. It's not 425. Oh, no, it was 425. It was 425. Oh, it was really recent. Oh, it was really recent. Yeah, it was really, really recent. Yeah, 425? Bro. It was really recent. Nope, we're not getting anything for a hot minute. It hasn't even been 10 chapters, bro. It has not even been 10 chapters, bro. We're not addressing it. We're not addressing it just yet. Granted, there's some hints, right? There's some hints. Okay. Okay. Didn't mommy take action in Hawaiians, Johan? What do you mean? What do you mean took action? What action are you referring to? Yeah, what action are you specifically referring to? I have no idea what you mean. Like, what's action? All she did was try to tear shit apart. That's not... It wasn't action for her stuff. It was to avoid, like, taking real action. Maybe the eyes you see in the mirror doesn't mean it's looking back at you. Ooh, that's a good one. Just because you see eyes in the mirror, it doesn't mean they're looking at you. Or you look at a mirror... Just because you see eyes in the mirror doesn't mean they're looking at you. Just because you look at a mirror, it doesn't mean you see yourself. No, that doesn't seem right. Just because you're looking at a mirror... Wait. They're looking at each other. Just because you see eyes in the mirror doesn't mean they're looking at you. I feel like that's landing pretty well. Just because you see eyes in the mirror doesn't mean they see you. No. Just because you see eyes in the mirror, it doesn't mean you see. Something like that. Just because you see eyes in the mirror, it doesn't mean you see. Something like that. In this, in the chapter after the assault, Kazuya is wearing a rabbit-printed boxers, right? If I remember correctly, the rabbit motif is there. Yes. He goes to the bathroom to clean his boxers, and they're rabbit-themed. Yes, it's supposed to be. It specifically, it was a nod to Playboy. We didn't even see what Chizuru and Umi talked about in the Tiger's Den, and that was like 300 chapters ago. Yeah. right? We got told what they said, not what was... We never actually saw what was said. It's a one-sided mirror? Kind of. Johan, has Ruka given up on Kazuya? Why the fuck would you think that? What gave you the impression she did? Feelings are now one-sided. Kind of. Yeah, the feelings are definitely one-sided, but there's more here I'm not seeing. I just noticed something about the sentence structure too. The commas separate Mami and Kazuya's initial perspective. It is opportunity, Mami, or is it carelessness, Kazuya? Is it love, the synthesis of their views? Oh. Opportunity, Mami, carelessness, Kazuya. Right? Mami is seizing an opportunity, abso-fucking-lutely. Right? Mami does the thing you guys think Umi does, right? Where Mami is absolutely seizing this opportunity that she has with Kazuya to get closer to him. And Kazuya is just being careless. Right? Kazuya is just absolutely fucking careless. And love is the synthesis between the two. And they say also love is, and they say also love, so it's also careless and opportunity at the same time. I think the cover represents perception, while the chapter represents perspective. The cover reduces Mami and Kazuya to simple roles, but every perspective shift in the chapter slowly breaks those roles apart. By the end, we're not looking at archetypes anymore, we're looking at people. Just add perspective as you mentioned, and it makes sense. I would say the roles fit them perfectly, if you think about it. I would say the roles fit them perfectly. It's just the roles reverse, right? You think the wolf is the one taking this opportunity, right? I would argue what you're seeing is a lie. Mami is a bunny, Kazuya is a wolf. They're both looking at each other. In reality, who's the one taking this opportunity? Who's the one dressed in black, right? Who's the one who appears to be dressed in black? It's Mami. Who's the one dressed in white? It's Kazuya. It makes you question who's the wolf and who is the rabbit. Because Mami is framed as a rabbit in the cover, you think she's a rabbit. You think she's the passive one. Because Kazuya looks masculine in the chapter, right? Because he's presented in a very masculine and mature way, naturally you attribute him to the wolf. In reality, I would say it's kind of reversed. Mami is the wolf, Kazuya is the rabbit. What you see in the picture does not represent the reality. What you see in the mirror does not represent the reality. I think maybe that's a more fitting description for this chapter. What you see in the mirror may not represent reality. Just because you look at yourself in the mirror, it doesn't mean that's actually what's happening, because your perception shapes what you look at. I think maybe that's the theme of the chapter. What you see in the mirror does not represent reality. I think that's a pretty good description. What you see in the mirror does not represent reality. Right? Because you start the chapter with Kazuya looking in the mirror and seeing Mami. Right? We end the chapter with Mami looking at Kazuya and she sees him in the mirror. And how do we end it? We see Ruka looking at a mirror of sorts. And it too does not represent reality. So I think maybe that's a fitting description. What you see in the mirror does not represent reality. Or maybe it doesn't always represent reality. Okay. A mirror doesn't reflect reality. Okay. So we're getting somewhere. Give me a minute to grab some food and some water, and I'll be right back. Just so I can remember what I wrote yesterday, observation versus understanding. Feel free to copy and paste it. I don't know if I remember it off the top of my head. But let me grab some water for now and then grab some food. I'm a little hungry. So I'll be right back. I'll turn off the audio just in case. Or I can keep it. Here. Yeah. This is some pretty chill audio, but it's also a YouTube channel remix, I think, so that works. Hopefully we don't have any trouble, but I'll be back. Okay, I think I kind of have a better way of phrasing the theme. I think I have a better way of phrasing the theme. What you see with your eyes may not be reality, but a mirror. How's that? What you see with your eyes may not be reality, but a mirror. I think that could make some sense. And if you look at it, like, look at how Kazuya looks here and look at how Mami looks here. Isn't this just a flipped over mirror, if you will? Neither looks at the other. One is in light, one is in shadow. Because all Mami did was just do the same thing as him. In that sense, what you see with your eyes may not be reality, but a mirror. What Kazuya looked at was just him. What Mami looked at was just her. They're looking at each other. What they're seeing is not the reality, but their own mirror. The rabbit is the wolf, and the wolf is the rabbit. I've been clocking mirrors as illusions and screens as simulations. Kind of why I find chapter 415 as a companion to this chapter, as well as chapter 79. Well, that's the thing, though. Isn't a screen just a mirror? Right? Well, the screen is a simulation not just a mirror of reality? Right? All the simulation does is reflect reality. Therefore, is a simulation not just a mirror or an illusion? Because mirrors are illusions. So therefore, simulations and illusions go hand in hand. I think the chapter is really about the gap between observation and understanding. Everyone is watching someone else, but they're all looking through something that creates distance. A rear view mirror, a TV screen. Even silence itself. Yeah, I remember this. You wrote this yesterday. Kazuya keeps trying to read Mami's expression. Mami studies Kazuya's little habits. Narika watches Umi through a screen. They all notice details, but none of them actually know what's going on in the other's heart. I think the last sentence could use a little bit of work. None of them actually knows what's going on in reality. Maybe that's more accurate. It's not that they don't know what's going on in that person's heart. They just don't know what's going on. Because you can't see someone's heart. I agree with all this. I would only add that there's an actual moment of connection beyond their misunderstanding here too. It's just a moment through a comparison to how they are the rest of the time. I think the mirrors, windows, and TV all represent limited perspective rather than reality itself. Okay, there we go. We're getting somewhere, right? I think that's pretty much what I said. A mirror only reflects what's in front of it. A TV only shows a broadcast, and a car window lets you see someone without ever reaching them. Yeah, Mami is looking out the car window. Yeah, she's intentionally framed through a window. And we intentionally don't see her eyes for a lot of it. We never get close to Mami, we only see her from a distance. If anything, what we're describing actually matches us as the readers. It reflects back us as the readers because we can never truly reach these characters. All we can do is watch them through the window of our screen. There you go. We can never truly reach these characters, all we can do is observe them through the window of our screen. Therefore, they both reflect a reality as well as an illusion. The chapter keeps placing characters behind these frames. to show that seeing someone doesn't mean understanding them. Every character begins by looking at an image, but the real story starts when the image is challenged by a new perspective. Added your thoughts too. Yeah. It's the shattering of an image, and what does mommy do? She poses for a picture. A perfect image. Kazuya is a perfect image. And yet this image is contrasted by how he's presented in the rest of the chapter. The pictures that we're seeing are inconsistent, right? From mommy's perspective, everything is picture perfect. From Kazuya's perspective, it's very Looney Tunes. Very, very goofy, very silly, very weird. Two contrasting images. And how do we end the chapter? All right, how do we end the chapter? We have two contrasting images. And the end of the chapter is quite literally two contrasting images. Right? The chapter itself is about the contrast between mommy's picture and Kazuya's picture. How does the chapter end? The Umi's picture, right? The pose Umi presents in a picture, in the commercial, versus how Ruka perceives that picture. However, it's only Ruka's perception, not Umi's. In the end of the chapter, it is not the same, it is one-sided. Because that's always what the chapter has been from the start. It has always been one-sided. It is someone's perspective. However, while we get a contrast between mommy and Kazuya's perspective to see the reality a little bit, we don't get that with Umi. I think that's what this is setting up. We have seen Ruka's perspective very consistently. And yet when Ruka looks at Umi's picture, she has absolutely no clarity what she's looking at. This is what this is setting up, I think. For us to get some clarity on Umi, his perspective. What the hell does he think? Right? Because unfortunately for Ruka, for most of this, it's all just been her perception. We have no idea what Umi's thinking. We have never once seen his perspective in all of this. So as a contrast to the beginning of the chapter, where it's all Kazuya's perspective, and that perspective is contrasted by mommy's perspective, we end with Ruka and her perspective of Umi. Yet we have never seen Umi's perspective. I think this is what this is setting up, for us to see Umi's perspective, right? And how that contrasts Ruka, and how that could inform the reality of the situation. I think that's what Reiji's possibly setting up, based on what this chapter does and how it ends. It starts with a single person's perspective, and it ends with the other's perspective, thus informing us of a different one, right? The only person's perspective we don't get in this chapter, I would argue, is the instructor, right? He's completely unbiased. He's not really present. He's like a machine, if you will. He's completely in shadows. I think that's a very intentional direction by Reiji to show that the director, or not the director, the instructor, is completely in shadows. You don't see him, right? Just as he doesn't see the characters. His eyes are literally closed off, right? No, don't play that. Bro, it's playing one of the saddest Kingdom Hearts themes. Could you fucking not? Yeah. So what do you see here with the What do you see here with the instructor? He's completely shadowed, and his eyes are completely blocked off by glasses because he does not see any of them. He doesn't see any of these things. He merely sees what is immediately obvious to him. He too is a character. The instructor too is a character. He is nothing more than someone who sees the surface. While we see what Kazuya is actually looking at, what does he see? He sees Kazuya being very smart and looking in the mirror and checking behind, right? Good job, you're looking in the rearview mirror. That's not what he's doing at all. He's completely misunderstood. This, I think, is very thematically fitting for the chapter. A fundamental misunderstanding, because what do you see here? He has a screen. Glasses. His eyes block his vision. What you see, right? What you see may not reflect reality, but a mirror. What you see on the screen may not reflect reality, but a mirror. What his eyes, through the glasses that he wears, show him, despite giving him more precision, he does not see the reality. This mirrors the characters in this chapter. In that sense, the instructor in the very end of the chapter, in my opinion, quite literally mirrors Ruka, right? They're both technically non-characters, and yet what they see with their vision may not reflect reality, right? What Ruka sees in Umi may not reflect reality. And I think that's what Reiji is setting up, for us to see his version of reality, his perception, how he sees the world, and how it may not be what Ruka has been seeing this whole time. Umi is an enigma, right? We have no idea what we're looking at. And I think that's kind of important. I think it also works for Chizuru's character from last chapter, where Chizuru looks at herself in the play, and she knows what she's looking at, but we don't, right? But what does Chizuru not know what she's looking at? She doesn't know what she's looking at when she looks at Kazuya, because she doesn't see him. I would argue maybe the previous chapter is about not seeing the truth of the world, right? If anything, I would maybe say it reflects blindness. I would say last chapter is like a kind of blindness that connects to this chapter, right? Last chapter is both about how you see and how you're blind. This chapter is about how what you see through a screen may not reflect reality, but a mirror, right? Oh, that's a good one. What you see through a screen may not reflect reality, but a mirror. What your eyes see through a screen may not reflect reality, but a mirror. Oh, write that down. Write that down. Excuse me, I'm actually gonna write that down. Excuse me. That I think I landed it. What your eyes see through the screen may not reflect mirror. That sounds so corny. That's my kind of shit, motherfucker. Your shit better sound corny or I ain't buying it. I love me some goddamn popcorn. Okay. Setting up, but wouldn't be surprised if we didn't get his perspective for another 20 chapters, lol. The only reason I think it's very possible we will now is specifically because of what this chapter does and how it literally presents Umi at the very end of it. That's almost like, hey, don't you want to see what's behind this screen? Right? You got to see what's behind Bami's screen. You got to see what's behind Kazuya's screen. Don't you want to see what's behind his screen? His picture? Right? Aren't you curious what's behind this picture? That's kind of what this is showing us, right? You're looking at an enigma, something that's like the way we overcome the fear of the unknown is by learning, by knowing. And this is literally, in my opinion, kind of presenting that. Don't you want to know? Don't you want to know what you're looking at? Aren't you tired of being afraid of like not knowing what's going to happen? Right? Aren't you curious? Don't you want to know? And that's very much fits Kazuya's character because he doesn't know. Right? He's very curious about Umi. He doesn't know what he's looking at. A lot of us are very curious about Umi and we don't know what we're looking at. I think this is kind of the setup here. Right? This is the setup for Ruka to be like, okay, don't you want to know? Aren't you curious? And what the instructor says here is the opposite of what the instructor in 415 says. Really? Okay, what does the instructor in 415 say? Oh my god, oh no, never mind, shut up. Nothing, I popped off over nothing, ignore me. I popped off over nothing, ignore me. It's impossible, it's not impossible, Kineshita-san, look, you can see her leg hiding behind the truck right before. Well done. Excellent reaction time, Nanami-san. Nanami-san, you're good at this. How is that different? How is that the opposite of what the instructor in 14 said? What did the instructor say here? Does he say, Kazuya, you're good at this? Or Kinoshita-san, you're good at this? Good job checking behind you, Kinoshita-san. Right? The characters are being rewarded for wrong things. It kind of fits in with the theme that I said from last chapter. Right lesson, wrong reasons. Right? And this is kind of the opposite. He's being rewarded for doing the wrong thing. Isn't that kind of what's happening? He's being rewarded for doing the wrong thing. Because the instructor doesn't see he's doing the wrong thing. Right? He's blinded by the mirror that he's familiar with. Right? He's blinded by the mirror he's familiar with. He's familiar with people looking in the rearview mirror. He doesn't consider the rearview mirror may have his ex-girlfriend or a pretty girl that the dude might be looking at. The instructor is quite literally blinded by the mirror that he sees. Just as Ruka in the end of the chapter, you could say, is blinded by the mirror that she sees, that being the complex emotions and bitter memories that Umi resurfaces. I actually think every perspective is incomplete is the deepest idea in this chapter. It connects the mirrors, car windows, TV, the perspective shifts, and even Mommy herself. The chapter isn't saying appearances are fake. It suggests that no single point of view is enough to understand another person. I mean, yeah, that's pretty much what you said before. You just reframed it. Isn't that literally just what you said before? You just reframed it? Maybe more mirrored than opposite. Okay. How we doing? It's almost 6:30. I might call it in a bit, and then I'll just stream again tomorrow, so we can read Reddit tomorrow. I just don't want to stay too long because I gotta go to bed at like 8 to 8:30. It's already almost 6:30. I'd like at least like 2 hours to myself. I haven't had a whole lot of time to myself today, so gotta prioritize that. Okay. On the right-hand page, Kazuya is looking at Mommy from the front. On the cover page, he's looking at her from behind. He's behind Mommy, yes. And, oh, I see what you're saying. The images are reversed like a mirror. The images are reversed like a mirror. You read my DM? Oh, okay, let's do that real quick. I knew I forgot something. Oh yeah, Crumpy sent me some stuff too. Let me double check. Kazuya's shirt indeed says wolf. I asked him, Umi's line in the end, I hear it's also a sex pun. Is that true? He says, yes, it is. He says, pokonchoko, and the word on the screen is pokoncho. Okay, so part of it, okay, I see. It's just a part of the words. Okay. Some Japanese fans posted stuff. Let's see what's there. Oh yeah, who's interested in seeing Christopher Nolan's The Odyssey? I hear it's really weird. Like, it's really good, but I'll be real, I've never been a crazy Nolan fan. I've liked some of his movies, but I've never been a crazy Nolan fan. That's just me personally. Like, I think I liked Inception. I liked, what was, Oppenheimer. Oh, I like Dunkirk. I think Dunkirk was like one of my favorite movies from him. I'm not a Dark Knight fan. Sue me. I'm not a Dark Knight fan. Nolan's Odyssey looks woke as fuck. Oh my god, Roman, are you one of the people who uses woke unironically? Bro, don't make me lose hope in you. Are you one of those people who uses woke unironically? Oh God. TLDR, I fucking hate what the term woke has become. It is such a misrepresentation of the term. I think for me, the only thing I feel weird about for the Odyssey is because I've read the original Odyssey. Like, I fucking read it. And this looks really weird. And the messaging just feels all wrong. And it's all white dudes. I don't think there's like a single Greek person in this fucking movie. I'm gonna be real. I don't think there's a single Greek person in this movie. And it's a fucking Greek Odyssey. You know, so that's kind of like what throws me off. I'm like, I bet it will be cinematic. I bet it will be cinema. But it's all, it feels like a bastardization of it. You know, it's just Hollywood's version of the Odyssey. And I think, I don't know if I'll ever like be able to appreciate the film for what he's trying to do with it, specifically because it's a remake of a story. And it's like, if you've read the original Odyssey, it'll feel weird, but if you don't give a shit, you might appreciate it. And I don't know, like, I feel like if it was his own thing, I wouldn't care. Right? If it was his own movie, his own shit, I wouldn't care. But the fact that it's specifically the Odyssey is like, just, I don't know how to feel about that. Like, you know, especially with a lot of what the US loves to do, which is like, take other people's cultures and religions and shit and just make it theirs. So you know, a part of the movie kind of rubs me the wrong way. I don't know how to feel about it. Isn't that called like cultural appropriation? I think that's what it's called. I could be wrong. Okay. Okay, so let's read what a certain someone in chat has sent me. Oh wow, you sent me a decent amount of stuff. Okay, let's make this a little bigger so I can read it better. Okay. We talk about how Kazuya isn't carefully thinking about his date at Mother's Farm, with the driving and license not there yet. I don't know if we talked about it a bit, but what happens if it rains on the day because Joypolis was an indoor place? So no rain, but because a farm outside, it's possible that the rain would ruin a lot of the activities. I think I read this last time. You know, the info this week's chapter probably elude the events of the previews. Ooh, I probably shouldn't read this. Okay. I'll be shocked. This is the 6th chapter of this volume, meaning we got 3 chapters left. Chapter 433 is the last, which could connect to some things we saw later. And isn't the 7th chapter of every volume usually the twist or event? Is that true? Is that true? Weren't Greeks white? No. Greeks weren't white. Greeks were like olive. You know, they kind of have like a tanner skin. They're not white. They're often depicted as white, but they're not really white. They kind of have like a tanner skin. Remember, they lived like near the ocean. Like, look at white people near the ocean. They're always like tanned. No, Greeks were like more tanned, and they usually like had like they kind of try to go for that in the movie by giving everyone like it's like the tints. I see some of the tints in the movie. They're trying to go for it. I'm just saying all of the characters in the movie are like probably either American or British. That's what I'm saying. None of them are from like Greece. None of them are from that region. Every character in the movie is probably like an American or British or some shit like that. You know? They have Zendaya, like she's black, cool. But Zendaya's in everything. Like, I don't know if like one lady counts. And I get it. They're amazing actors and they'll bring like Nolan's vision to life. I just don't think it's a it's an American representation of a Greek story. That's pretty much what it is. It's just an American representation. Zendaya also isn't Greek. Yes, that's what I'm saying. It's like, yeah, she's black, which is, a nice change of pace. It's not all just white people, but it's also still not Greek. Maybe more mirrored than opposite. You might consider reading Simulacra and Simulation sometime. What is that? Okay, so something may happen next chapter, because... Is it true that every time the 7th chapter of the volume is the twist? I don't recall that being Reiji's thing. I think Reiji said, like, the twists were, like, something else. I don't recall. I could have sworn Reiji said the way he does... I bet my ass trans didn't exist 3,000 years ago. Yes, they did. If humans were alive, trans people existed, period. If people were alive, trans people existed, period. What are you on about? That is literally just a genetic thing. It happens. That's normal. If they did, them not recognizing it does not mean it didn't exist. That makes no sense. Now, did they have the technology to change their gender? Probably not. Of course not. But, hello, there was a lot of, like, trans study in World War II. And guess what? The Germans burned all of it. Or not the Germans, the Nazis, sorry. The Nazis fucking burned all of it. There was a lot of trans research around World War II. And the fucking Nazis burned all that shit. Like, no, they existed. It's literally a genetic thing. It is a genetic, like, mistake your body can make to literally put you in the wrong body. That is a thing. It can happen. It probably happened when humans were alive. That's just normal. It probably happens to animals too. They just don't know how to process it or think about it the same way we do. Like, it's normal. It happens. And you have to understand, a lot of history has been destroyed. Right? Like, just because you may not immediately find it, it does not mean it did not exist. There have been so many conquerors in history who have burned and destroyed it. So many so many books in history have been burned and destroyed. Just because you don't immediately find it, it does not mean it did not exist. That is a fallacy. And you can't necessarily go back and prove it didn't. So the argument just falls apart very quickly. Of course they probably existed. The possibility of them existing is higher than it is them not existing. And even if they didn't, so what? Cool, they didn't exist 3,000 years ago. So what? They existed 500 years ago. They existed 1,000 years ago. They exist now. Deal with it. Cool, someone is in the wrong body. What's wrong with that? Someone feels uncomfortable in their body and they want to be in a different one. What's wrong with that? So, you fucking see people like richer people literally get gender treatment surgeries. Like fixing their hair, fixing your hairline. That is gender treatment surgery. That is literally what that is. Oh, you got man boobs. You remove your man boobs. That is gender treatment surgery. Yeah, those dudes that you see, the actors that you see with omega pecs, that's because they got boobs, bro. They got the genetics for boobies. That's why their pecs are so massive and sexy. Shocking. No, like we have all of this shit that we already do, and we just misattribute it with trans people because because fucking politicians want you to be stupid and label trans people as woke, and then they use a fallacy, in particular by using like a small ratio of people to freak you the fuck out. They want to use a small ratio of people who possibly do bad things to freak you the fuck out. Except if you compare that to the worst things other people do, it falls apart immediately. It's the same false statistics they use with black people. They love to use false statistics with black people to show that black people do more dangerous things. Except that's nonsense, because if you compare that to the amount of crimes white people commit in America, that suddenly falls the fuck over. Especially when you consider a lot of these people are marginalized. It's fucking stupid. No, it's literally, look, I was literally like reading this thing from like an old, researcher. I forgot his name. He was literally saying, you can use any statistic to prove whatever the fuck you want. Stop just immediately trusting statistics. You can fake your own statistics. It's very easy. Grab a few thousand people, you know they'll say or think a certain thing, right? If I go to a primarily white community and do a statistic with them, of course a lot of them will think a certain way or feel a certain way because they haven't interacted with other cultures. Of course. It's very, very easy to develop fake statistics. And then if you consider certain crime rates and how crimes are depicted or understood, it makes a lot more sense, especially when you consider that the police are literally paid to arrest people. Right? They have a crime. They have to have a certain amount of arrests or do a certain amount of things, and they have to meet a criteria. They're not doing it just to serve you. It's a system. They make money off this. Do you see how quickly like these lies that they fed you fall apart when you start like understanding how the system works and how it's designed to trick you and manipulate you? Why do you think I'm like so very like I try to avoid talking about politics? Right? Because our system like fucking lies to you constantly, and deconstructing these lies is a big thing that people have to start seeing and realizing, but it takes some time. Right? Like sorry to like blow up a little bit, but no, that a lot of this shit is fucking nonsense. You know, they sell you on a bunch of bullshit and they convince you of it. And then they confirm your fallacies and your nonsense that you tell yourself. You have a lot of internalized bias, and it's very easy to believe that bias. And they feed into it by just showing you nonsense. They're like, oh, look at this one thing that confirms everything I believe. And they'll do it over and over and over again to discredit arguments that are very valid. Right? And then they just talk louder than the other person, and they're like, oh, this person must be right, because they talk louder. It's so easy to convince people. It's so fucking easy to convince people, especially nowadays. That's why I'm constantly telling you guys, fucking research. Fucking read on shit. Like, here, this might make some people mad. I don't agree with everything Hassan says, like Hassan Piker. I don't agree with everything he says, but a lot of his points are on the mark. Right? Feel free to disagree with me, get mad at me, whatever. I don't agree with everything he says. A lot of his points are on the mark. As someone who has experienced a lot of these things firsthand, he's on the mark. Okay? Like, if there's one thing I can tell you, don't watch people like Asmongold. Don't watch the Roach Man. Don't watch the Roach Man, dude. Okay, let's get off this. Let's get off this topic. Sorry, I didn't mean to, like, get fucking heated. I didn't mean to get fucking heated, okay? I know the internet fucking hates Hassan, okay? I know the internet hates Hassan. And there's some things he says that are not accurate. I will consent to that. There are some things he says that are not accurate. A lot of the things he says are actually pretty accurate, though. Right? And yes, a lot of people just get mad at him. Right-wingers love to fucking... Asmongold is your goat? Bro, please. Bro, please, he is gaslighting and lying to you. He actively tells you he's lying to you. Please don't watch people like him. I used to watch Asmongold. He was kind of fun before he became a fucking, what is it, grifter, LARPer, or whatever you want to call him. Like, it's actually terrifying if you, like, hear some of the shit he says. It is insane. No, like, please don't. What did he lie about? He's actively lying about a lot. Like, I don't even know where to fucking begin. He's lying about a fucking shit ton. For one, he actively tells people that he's lying to them and that he's doing this to get views and to sell an agenda. He literally says this multiple times. But it's like, but he says it in such a casual way that you don't process what he's saying. He just says it in a really casual way, so it seems natural to you. You're like, oh yeah, that makes sense. But then you just think about it for like a fucking second. And you're like, wait, that's pretty fucked up. What the hell's he saying? Right? Just if you ever watch him in the future, just pay attention to that. I know I said don't watch him, but I'm probably not going to change your mind. So if you ever watch him in the future, just pay attention. Just pay attention to his words. I'm not going to be able to source it immediately. I don't watch Asmongold actively. I've just paid attention to the things that he says. I find, like, when someone posts a clip on Twitter, I'll watch the clip, I'll go to the actual stream, and I'll see the context for it, and I'm like, okay, yeah, no, there it is. But I don't actively watch his streams. I don't engage with Asmongold because I don't like what he says, how he engages people. I just don't like any of that. So I just don't engage with Asmongold. I'm not going to source you immediately. I'm sorry. I'm not going to be able to actively source you immediately what he says. Because I don't actively engage with him. I'm not interested in the hatred that he facilitates, the environment that he creates. That's not my thing. I'm not a huge Asmon fan, but he's better than Hassan. That is, if that's what you want to believe, okay. My stance is completely the opposite. I think Asmongold is a hateful, cruel man who says horrible, horrible things and actively facilitates violence and hatred. Whereas, at the very least, Hassan is actively trying to say things along the line of, hey, try to be better people and treat other people better. And call out the horrible people. You know, at least that's how I view it. All I have seen from Asmongold is facilitating hatred and cruelty and misunderstandings. Oh, the cop has the right to shoot this person because, oh, they're of color. Yeah, they should shoot this person. That's fine. What? Oh yeah, the cop has every right to retaliate with violence because this person might be dangerous. They have a backpack. Excuse me? Like, that's one of the clips I like vividly remember. When the protest started and the cop just saw someone with a backpack and like fired at them. And it's like, no. Your job is to protect civilians, not to attack them. Just because you have an assumption, it doesn't mean you should fire. Excuse me? We are so off topic. I'm sorry. Let's get off this topic. Don't mention anything else. Let's get off this topic. We are so off track. You guys kind of know a bit of my political stances right now. You guys know some of my political stances right now. We're moving on from this topic. Just a counterfactual to what the guy is saying. Zuni, New Mexico, known as Ihman, famously embodied the weaver and the cultural ambassador. Wahwi was a third gender or more fluid gender concept. This is just one of like half of a dozen I found with a quick search. So it's not even true that we don't know or more fluid gender concepts haven't existed in a long time. Yeah. No. Anyways. Yeah, I end up talking a little longer than I had intended. So for now, I'm gonna end the stream. We ended this on a pretty heated discussion. I'm gonna end the stream here for now. I'll come back tomorrow and I'll read Reddit. So tomorrow we'll do the Reddit reading, and we'll go from there. Yeah. I think I get off at like 2 tomorrow, so the stream may be around like this time-ish. Yeah, I think the stream would be around this time-ish if I stream. Next chapter, the trans person and the girlfriend. And like, understand, like, I have trans friends. Like, I know multiple trans people, and it's like they're mad chill. One was one of my best friends, you know. I say was because they unfortunately passed away. But like, it had nothing to do with them being trans. They just had some health complications. Next time, the Roach King and the balding. I like, okay, that's one thing you can't dispute about Asmongold. Man's got a fucking shower and clean. That's one thing you cannot dispute about Asmongold. You can disagree on whatever the fuck you want to disagree with. You cannot dispute the fact that that man's got a fucking clean. That dude got a fucking clean. I went to a Catholic college. A lot of LGBT people there, lol. They chill, nice people. Yeah. Yeah. I'm friends with a lot of queer people. I know a lot of gay men, I know a lot of gay women. Like, they're pretty chill. Nothing wrong with that. Like, a lot of the times, like, people just act a certain way because of how we react and what we say and how we engage with them, you know? A lot of these people who are LGBTQ+ are just sensitive just because they've been demonized for so long. When you start to understand how much they've been demonized, you can understand why they react so aggressively. That is absolutely one of the weaknesses of a lot of like progressive movements. I'm not going to deny that. One of the weaknesses of modern progressive movements is they're very, very like angry and frustrated and can push people away easily. And the reason red pill people are like so much easier to engage with is because they kind of try to meet you halfway, you know? And it's a good bait. It works, you know? They're like, oh, you're a fuck up, but you know, but we won't treat you like a fuck up here. And I think if progressive people just try to do that a little more, just try to come off as a little more understanding of people and not just immediately demonize every motherfucker, it would do a lot of like service to a lot of things. Like they would like it just engage you a lot more, you know. But I think that's kind of like the weaknesses of a lot of progressive people is just they just get very angry and they demonize a lot, and that's absolutely a weakness. It, like when you see like the reason I'm like not as judgmental of Hassan is like when you see how much like shit this dude puts up with, I'm like, yeah, I'd be angry too. I'd be angry too. Everybody's like constantly spinning lies and saying horrible things about me. I'm like, yeah, I'd be fucking mad too. And notice that almost every emotional beat happens after something. For example, mommy turning back matters more than her leaving. Kazuya's silence carries more weight than his reply. The emotional weight never comes from the event itself, it comes from what happens afterward. The chapter is built around reaction rather than actions. I think I was saying that. What do you mean? Okay, mommy turning back matters more than her leaving. Turning back where? What are you referring to? Turning back where? What are you referring to? What turning back? This? Well, this is her leaving, so that must not be what you're referring to. Kazuya's silence carries more weight than his reply. Which silence? Like his silence here? Yeah, I'm not sure what you're specifically referring to. Does anyone think it's super funny if Kazuya had failed the stand-up comedian arc? Why would Kazuya be a stand-up comedian? Mommy turning back and said, do I look cute? Oh, you mean this. Okay. Mommy turning back matters more than her leaving. Kazuya's silence carries more weight than his reply. How do you know which part of the volume each chapter is in? I'll be real, most of the time I don't. People tell me. It's like something you can kind of measure based on how many chapters are in there, so you can kind of like guesstimate. It's something you can kind of like guesstimate based on how many chapters are in a volume. So based on that, you can kind of track where each volume ends and where each volume begins. If you just follow the pattern of like the current chapters and the future chapters, it's a little complicated, but like once you piece it together, it's pretty easy. Is this what you mean about Kazuya's silence? The emotional weight never carries from the event itself, it comes from what happens afterwards. Each volume has 9 chapters. Really? I feel like I've seen chapters with less. Or volumes with less. I feel like I've seen volumes with less. Anywho, I already stayed a lot longer than intended. We got very fucking political. We got really fucking political. In chapter 17, Chizuru makes fun of Kazuya's t-shirt, just like in the play. Well, yeah, they were doing their usual fight skit. In chapter 17 or chapter 16, they were doing their usual fight skit. You know, they had Kazuya and Chizuru at the time had this like skit where they like made fun of each other's shit. Like that was kind of their thing. And then when Kazuya didn't do his thing, Chizuru's like, "What the fuck?" And then as she's walking away, she's just like, "Oh, yeah, well, I've always wanted to say this. Your shirt is weird." And it's like she's trying to initiate him to fight back, but he's not acting like himself. You know, he's acting weird. So she wanted to point out his shirt is weird, almost like to get him to act like himself. And he's not acting like himself. And she's like, "What the fuck's going on?" So that those parting words are like that. Chizuru also always laughs at Kazuya's shirts. I don't know if this has anything to do with that. I don't know if this has anything to do with that. Chizuru just tends to laugh at Kazuya's shirts. In like a cute way, not a stupid kind of way. I feel bad for Mami and I'm not sure why. I mean, she is a victim. She's a victim of her environment. It's completely fair to feel bad for Mami. Like, she's a victim and she kind of acts like it now. So, yeah, absolutely. She also has an unreciprocated love. Absolutely. She poses for a picture no one is looking at. It's pretty sad. You know, it's literally just all unrequited love. She poses for a picture Kazuya is not even looking for. She's waiting to be looked at when Kazuya is not even looking at her. You know, here's that pose, right? Here's that pose. It's literally the same pose. Kazuya got a glimpse, but he's not appreciating what she's showing, right? She goes back to the same pose, hoping he'll look again. And he never does. It's sad. It's tragic. Is this Mami's redemption arc? Also, what is the background music? It's Resident Evil 2's save room. It's Resident Evil 2's save room on a 1-hour loop. On a 1-hour loop, bro. Is this Mami's redemption arc? Yes and no. What do I mean? Mami is changing as a character, but she hasn't particularly redeemed herself for anything she's done. So, yes, she is improving and becoming better, but she has not addressed what she's done, so she technically hasn't even started her redemption as a character. If anything, she's avoiding becoming better. If anything, she's avoiding becoming, redeeming herself and actually changing. She's actually running away from that. But the setup for her redemption is all there. If that makes sense. Mami's the one who dumped him in the first place. I'm debating of getting a wish willow. What is that again? I always forget. I remember in high school I had red pants and long sleeves. Looked like in the mirror and I said, "Oh good, I look like the Howard from Big Bang Theory." It was bad. I had to avoid so many people. The cycle feels like my past relationship with my ex. She was incredibly mentally abusive and would cheat, but when she would seem like she was changing and I'd feel bad for her. I wouldn't say this is quite like that. The mental abuse is probably there. Cheating, less so. Mami has never outright cheated. If anything, I would say she's trying to change Kazuya's feelings. So if anything, she's more so tempting cheating. Like almost intentionally so, right? She wants to be seen by him. She desires him. So she's not cheating on Kazuya. That's not really what's going on. It's quite the opposite. She kind of wants him to change. Now, mommy isn't being straight up mentally abusive here. If anything, she's creating a safe space. And it's not that mommy is not changing. What this is showing specifically is that mommy is capable of change. Mommy can be better. She absolutely can be better. She can do better. However, that she is not addressing the real change. So I'm sorry, this isn't quite like your past relationship. Mommy is showing she is capable of change. However, she has not truly changed. Therefore, it demeans what she's currently doing. This matters less specifically because she has not taken an active choice to apologize and try to be better. However, this is like a coping mechanism. It's letting her practice being better so that when the real thing comes, she can handle it. Does that make sense? It's a coping mechanism. She hasn't actually addressed the real problem. Once she does, this shows that she can be better. She can be tamer, nicer. This is also important specifically because mommy is always driven around by the dude she's betrothed to. And here she is in the same car being driven by Kazuya. The only difference is when they switch seats, we don't see that, right? We don't see what mommy is like when she leads. We're seeing what Kazuya is like when he leads and how mommy reacts to Kazuya leading. She's very comfortable sitting in the back. She's very comfortable not so much leading. She wants Kazuya to lead because she doesn't know who she is. I'm sorry to say that this isn't quite like that relationship that you described. Mommy is changing, but she hasn't had a real, true change, if that makes sense. Someone mentioned chapter 79 and had something to do with this. Yeah, it was Jojo. He's probably going to talk about it in his thread that we'll read tomorrow. Did you get Twitch affiliate? No, because a few of our streams haven't actually been enough people, so they just didn't count. So I'm still at 2. As you can see, I'm still at 2. I still need 2 more streams that count, that had enough people in them. I don't even know if this current stream has enough people in it. I'll be real. So let me see what it says from the outside. There we go. So from the outside, it says 3 viewers. I don't know if it'll process it as 3 viewers because I only see 2 people here, that being Goku and Jojo. I hope it'll process 1 more person, but I don't think so. So there's a high chance this stream may not count. There's a high chance this stream just may not count. Because it's not actually 3 people, it's 2 people. And we get a bonus person, so it needs to probably be actually 4 in total. So we'll see. I'll probably know tomorrow. I have no clue. Mommy is trying to let go of the past and not let it define her future, but she's having trouble for a read. Well, that's the thing. You can't let go of the past unless you address it. And that's the thing. You can't truly let go of the past. It will always be with you. You just learn how to deal with it differently. The problem is mommy's just ignoring the past. You can't let go of a past you've never addressed. You can't move on from it and not let it define you if you never addressed it. Therefore, it will continue to define you. So mommy can't ever truly move on from her past because she's never addressed it. Right? And she's also never left. Right? She's never left her family. Therefore, her past is literally still here. She's just pretending it's not there. So it's not just her past with Chizuru and Kazuya, it's her past with her family. Mommy is just pretending it's not there. She's acting like it's not there. It's still there. Her past is still there. Right? If anything, I would say her past in this exact moment is defining her actions. Everything mommy is doing right now is driven by her past. Kazuya is her past. The driving is probably connected to her family in some way. Just as the driving is connected to Kazuya's family. Mommy's actions literally mirror Chizuru's actions. Chizuru is the one who told her to really think about her feelings. And what happens, she's acting just like Chizuru, not realizing how she's running away from Chizuru. So it's all connected. Everything mommy does is driven by her past. She hasn't truly moved on from it. How could she move on from it if she never addressed it? Ignoring it makes it significantly worse, and it eats you alive. I know what that firsthand. Yeah, I bet most people do. You know, ignoring shit always causes more issues. Anyways, gonna stop here. I've ranted long enough. Nobody bring up a new topic. If you have something to say, save it for later. You have something to say, fellas. Save it for later. We'll talk about it another time. Okay? Tomorrow. I'll stream tomorrow. It'll probably be around a similar time. Okay? It'll probably be around a similar time because I'm not going to get off work until like 2. If I get off sooner, great. If I don't, I don't. Okay, gang. See you tomorrow. We're going to read Reddit tomorrow. I'll see if I write anything. I have no clue.